flat.
All right, we are live and on.
Great, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Greetings and welcome to this third meeting of the Cannabis Task Force. I just have some standard language to read language we need to read at the beginning of every meeting. And then I'm going to ask us to introduce ourselves, and then I'll sort of lay out the plan for this evening. So just to go over, as we all know, MCB4 has adopted a hybrid meeting policy whereby we will meet in person with a remote option. All community board meetings will require an in-person quorum to come to order and conduct business. Committee members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability or an extraordinary circumstance as defined by the New York State Open Meetings Law. Excused members attending remotely can fully participate in the meetings and must leave their cameras on. Due to the public health best practices and space limitations, we encourage members of the public to join virtually. Members of the public that are attending remotely can fully participate in the meeting. The MCB4 hybrid policy can be found on our website. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and is currently live streaming on YouTube, where it will live likely in perpetuity. Okay, excellent. So again, thank you all. This is the Cannabis Task Force. As you can all see, we have a very large agenda. So I do want to briefly go around and just take a moment to introduce ourselves. So my name is Jesse Greenwald. I am the chair of this task force. I live in Chelsea. Go ahead.
Hi, Rodney Washington. I also live in Chelsea.
Hi, Sandra Miller. I live in Hell's Kitchen.
Alan Oster, Chelsea.
And Wendy Gonzalez, live in Chelsea.
Raul Larios, Hell's Kitchen.
Dolores?
Hi, Dolores Rubin. Extraordinary circumstance. I'm sick and I live in Clinton.
Great, thank you very much for being here. And this is our esteemed district manager, Jesse Bodine, who makes it all possible for us to be here and for this entire hearing to be able to run. So thank you, Jesse. Okay, so before we begin, I do want to give this is what I do, at the start of all these meetings, give a brief overview of the current landscape of the legal cannabis market and licensing, followed by my expectations for the Cannabis Task Force and how tonight's hearing will unfold. The current landscape, as many, if not most of you know, it took nearly 2 years between legalization of cannabis in New York City and the opening of the first dispensaries in the city with legal license to sell cannabis. In the interim, thousands of smoke shops and illegal dispensaries have begun operating, which constitute a public health risk, target children, are an eyesore, and deprive the state of much needed tax revenue. So in fact, if you have seen a dispensary near you, I'd say there's over a 95% chance it's an illegal dispensary that you're looking at. But other than the first item we'll be discussing tonight, which is item 8 on the agenda, tonight is not about those illegal dispensaries. Tonight is about legal dispensaries who, upon opening, must comply with a litany of rules and regulations governing everything from signage they may use to the products they can sell to the security they must have in place. As of now, there are only, I need to update this number, there are only around a dozen legal dispensaries in Manhattan. So the first legal dispensaries to open in New York were opened up under the CARD program. CARD applicants, and that's those who have been convicted of a marijuana offense or are nonprofits, submitted applications about 6 months ago. And while many of those applicants received provisional licensing from OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, most have not yet opened because of a statewide injunction. A couple of months ago, after a settlement with the OCM, that injunction was lifted and CARD applicants have been free to proceed with the application process. We have some of those applicants here with us tonight, some of whom have already received provisional licensing from OCM. MCB4 held a hearing for a CARD licensee in our district, and we unanimously supported their application. They just opened on West 23rd between 6th and 7th just this past week. So we have our first legal dispensary here in Chelsea on West 23rd between 6th and 7th. I should say, once there is a legal dispensary open, there is a 1,000-foot radius restriction. So once a legal dispensary is open, there cannot be another, according to OCM regulations, there cannot be another legal dispensary that can open within 1,000 feet of that location. Okay. Going back, on November 4th, the Office of Cannabis Management began accepting applicants from the general public for adult use retail dispensary licenses. That window to submit has now closed, so the applicants here with us tonight already have pending applications with OCM. There are two types of applicants for adult use retail dispensaries: standard and social and economic equity applicants, otherwise known as SEE applicants. SEE applicants must fit within certain categories, for example, being minority-owned, women-owned, disabled veterans. We have some SEE applicants as well as some standard applicants here with us tonight as well. OCM is giving priority to SEE and card applicants in licensing over the general use retail license applications. It does so by entering applicants into a lottery and then based on priority, weighting certain applicant pools so that those applicants are more likely to be pulled in the lottery. Just this week, the order of the lottery for the SEE applicants, i.e. the order in which their applications will be reviewed, was released. So we may be asking applicants this evening who are SEE applicants to let us know what number they are in the lottery. One last note on the current legal landscape: for the purposes of notification to community boards and to be afforded this public hearing, applicants must be able to show that they have proof of control over their premises. Thus, while we as a district received dozens and dozens of applications, we are only hearing and providing comment on those like those tonight who have stated that they have proof of control over the premises or a letter of intent from the landlord. Okay. Tonight, we have 7 applications for retail dispensary licenses. Each applicant will have 5 minutes to introduce themselves and provide the task force with a little bit of their background and an overview of their operational plans. This will be followed by 5 minutes of Q&A from the task force, and then 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A from the public, but we will adjust as we need. If time permits, first, a few additional comments. Sorry for again, my opening remarks are a little long. I just want to say, first, we are not here to evaluate whether applicants are properly applying as card or SEE applicants. That we will leave to OCM. What we are here to do is evaluate whether the proposed locations of these dispensaries are appropriate for their blocks and whether we believe that the applicants will run their locations responsibly and as good neighbors. To that end, this would not be the proper venue for members of the public to express their feelings towards cannabis legalization one way or the other. The law has passed. I will also say that it is the general sentiment of this task force that we are fed up with the proliferation of illegal dispensaries and smoke shops in our district. And we believe that in addition to enforcement, one of the most effective paths to shutting these illicit businesses down will be by opening up legal dispensaries to compete with them. Finally, we, the task force, recognize that our applicants come from a wide array of backgrounds with a diverse set of business experiences, and we will try to be respectful of that fact and keep it in mind as we evaluate the applications. Thank you very much. Okay, so we will be beginning, instead of, we apologize for the order of the agenda this evening, but we are actually going to skip first to item 8 and dispense of this hopefully relatively quickly, which is that we, the task force, have drafted a letter regarding enforcement of the illegal dispensaries. So again, as I said, the rest of this evening, we will just be talking about legal dispensaries, but quickly to address the problem of the proliferation of the illegal dispensaries that continues to be a problem and then certainly seems nowhere close to being solved. Our letter calls for a 3-pronged approach. It speaks of improving enforcement, both civil and criminal, and in supporting a bill currently pending in the New York Assembly, which would give municipalities more local control to use their criminal code to actually go after these illegal businesses and give them more power to close those businesses. The second prong is education. We believe that the Office of Cannabis Management ran a $5 million ad campaign telling New York residents that cannabis was now legal. They did that about 1.5 years ago, but they failed to mention that there was nowhere legal to buy it yet. We asked that additional funding be given to OCM so that they can rerun a new campaign and fix their grave error. And then as a third prong, as I just mentioned, we do believe that opening legal dispensaries to compete, and again, there can only be so many legal dispensaries because of that 1,000-foot radius rule, is going to be pretty easy to saturate each district once there are enough legal dispensaries up and running, but there needs to be legal alternatives to compete with the illegal ones. Otherwise, the problem will continue to manifest. That is our letter. everyone on the committee has had a chance to read the letter. Are there any comments, questions about the letter before we vote on it? Roll.
Yes, first of all, I think there were a couple of members who congratulate you on the letter. I think it's a terrific letter as well. I support that. And I have just a couple of friendly amendments, more in the area of spellings and setting, and a couple of areas that I want to focus on, if possible. The second paragraph, I think it's terrific. I would only break it up at the point where it says unfortunate, to make it even stronger, make it a separate paragraph. Unfortunately, time has come to evaluate that position.
Sure.
That would make it even stronger, I believe. The next one, spelling mistake, sheriff.
All right. You can back me offline, sir.
Uh,
I'm there 105 participants. We already got telling them my typos.
After the first point of pertaining to improve enforcement, I wonder if we can't also add something about penalizing landlords for
Yes.
leasing to legal
That
shops.
should be good. Thank you for reminding me. That needs to go back in. Thank you. Yes.
Under point number one.
Yeah.
I think there's a movement or an opportunity to do that there. Under education, the signage of the legal dispensaries currently seem to be too small and not visual or specific enough that it is a legal cannabis shop. The person who hasn't, who doesn't frequent them or tourists would not know the difference. I think the sign today is like a little thing you can't really get. It should be big. It should be at least the size of the food rating, the A, B of a restaurant. It should be at least that size and that pronounced. I think it would be good to include that in this letter, and friendly amendment there. Also, in number 3, where you say that OCM must redouble its efforts to review and approve calls for applicants, should do so in 1/10 of the time that it's currently taking, because applicants have to get a lease, pay for a lease month to month while they're waiting on OCM to do something. And these are not cheap leases. They need to really move fast on this in 1/10 of the time. I think we need to make that.
So I can strengthen that language on the, so legal dispensaries are required to have a sign in their window with a QR code that shows people that it is a legal shop. I don't know the size of that sign, but it is certainly something that we can address and say that it should be as large as we can make it without filling up the entire window. I agree, though, that there does need to be more indication that these are legal versus illegal. Yes, all friendly amendments. Thank you very much. Dolores.
Just in the area where you're mentioning about that there is an activation of the 1,000-foot rule once there is a license given, I think it's real important for us to stress that OCM have some type of way of monitoring themselves, that they do not make a mistake, and that there's a mechanism in place so that in the event that they accidentally award one in an area, that there is a way to remedy that, so that it's not, we'll call it, we're not left with 2 that happen to be in 1,000 foot of each other, with no way of making that adjustment or change after they've already given a license.
Also friendly amendment, great idea. Thank you very much. And obviously, for the members of the public who don't have access to this letter, as soon as we vote on it, it will get published and on our community board website. And so people will be able to take a look at it before we vote on it finally at our next full board meeting, which will be February 7th. All right, with that being said, I can't make a motion, but someone else could.
Motion to adopt?
Do a second. Great. All those in favor? Okay, great. And so the letter passes and we will get it published and put it up to the full board. Thank you very much. Okay. And now to proceed with the meat of the main thrust of this evening's activities, which is to again review the dispensary applications for various locations in our district. We are beginning this evening with 219 9th Avenue, NY Retail 1 Incorporated. I'm going to just give a brief background. First of all, if you're here and associated with NY1 Retail, please raise your hand. If you're here to speak on it, this is not the time to speak on it. If you are actually the applicant, if you are the representative of NY Retail, please raise your hand online, and we will move you over. I'm going to give a brief background, and then we are going to hear from the applicants, and then we will discuss. All right. So for those of you who were here 1 month ago, do we have Aves with us?
Yes, we did. Oh,
Oh,
we did.
I'll just wait for him to be on so that I'm not
There he comes.
jumping. Great. There it is. Great.
Hey
Hi,
everyone,
Aves.
this is Eric Shalani. How's it going?
Good to see you again. So I'm just gonna give a quick background, Arish, and then I'll let you take it away. But for those of you who remember, Arish and NY Retail were here with us last month for an application for approval. And we observed, although we were very impressed with his presentation, we observed that he really had not done much outreach in the London Terrace Association, although he had connected with the board and been given some sort of provisional approval from one of the boards, one of the several boards of the tenants, London Terrace. He still had not really connected with the tenants, and so we were not at all comfortable proceeding with a vote until we knew that he had made sufficient outreach and had started a dialogue with them. So I do understand this past Tuesday, that meeting did occur. And it was I understand a lively discussion. We did receive a number of correspondence now in response to this application, which I will summarize after Arish gets to speak. But Arish, without, we're not asking you to do your whole presentation again. For anyone who's interested in seeing his presentation, it is available online at this meeting from 1 month ago. You can go on YouTube and see it. But Arish, if you can quickly just summarize what has happened in the last month from your perspective, if you've made any concessions, if anything came out of your dialogue with London Terrace, we appreciate it.
Yep, thank you for the introduction, Jesse. I think you did a pretty good recap without reintroducing myself completely from the presentations. I'm an experienced operator who has a cannabis retail store in Massachusetts. I've since moved to the state of New York to operate retail cannabis stores here. And 219 9th Ave is an application that we put in through a social equity program. And last month, we made a presentation. The board recommended that we do some additional community outreach in the residential neighborhood. We have done 2 residential meetings, and we're here today now to opine on this application. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. And one actual question for you was your establishment pulled in the lottery? And if so, what number are you?
We are in the lottery. We were in the 2200s.
So, how many, do you know what the total number of applications was? Like 2200 out of how many?
I believe it was 2,200 total applications. I believe we were 2211. Sorry,
Okay.
2211. There was over 2,200 applications.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that information. So typically, we would ask questions of the applicant, and actually I should allow, if anyone does on the task force does have additional questions, obviously feel free to ask. But after that, we would move to the public and hear from the public. In this instance, I can say that we have received over 100 letters opposing this particular location. And I know we have, as you can see, over 100 participants online, and I'm assuming the majority are here for this particular location. We did receive 4 letters of support. But what we're hoping to do, because there are so many people and we couldn't possibly hear from every single one tonight, because actually we really would be here until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, is I'm hoping to summarize the general sentiments of the letters in opposition, and then ask those members of the public who are here in person or online whether they generally share those sentiments. So to raise their hands. So the sentiments in opposition are, that this is the sentiments in opposition are simply that this is just not the correct space, that there is a very large residential unit directly, connected to this building with many tenants. There are concerns that this space is about how big it is, about the many different uses that could come out of this space, and potentially it turning into some sort of nightclub. I understand, Arish, that you were not committal to not ever turning it into a consumption lounge. And there were concerns around that. I also understand that you were not committal about not having live music or having any loud music. And so there were concerns about it becoming some sort of nightclub with dispensary nightclub. There were concerns around safety, just the fact that this dispensary would somehow attract more violence or criminal behavior. There were concerns around what it would do to traffic in the area, and having tons of people show up to the London Terrace to patron this establishment was a concern of many residents. So I'm sure I'm missing details, and obviously there were over 100 letters and I could not read them all. Every person obviously has their own unique concerns, but if that generally, first, Arish, actually, before I ask if people generally agree with that, I should ask you, am I accurate in saying both those things, that you would not commit to never applying for a consumption lounge license, and also you would like at some point perhaps to have live music in the space?
Yeah, I would like to clarify that there was a discussion around consumption. I will not be having a consumption lounge. I made that very clear. It is not a part of my lease term, as well as my license application. This would be a retail dispensing location only. In addition to live music, I think there was some miscommunication around what live music meant. I said that there would be possibly a live band during grand opening, maybe one or two parties that come through pop-ups that may have an instrument or two. There will not be any DJs or late night music or live club related music. So wanted to clarify what live music meant in when I referenced it. Is there any missing there? Those were the two questions you asked.
No, that was very helpful. Great. So I think what I'm going to do is ask two questions of the public. So everyone who's online, keep your cursors over the raise hand button. Two separate questions I will ask. The first question will simply be, do you generally agree with the sentiments of the summary that I read, meaning that you are opposed to this dispensary location? And then a second round of questions of raise your hand if anything that Ari said changes your opinion, such that you are now for the dispensary, just in case. I want to capture those people in case that changes anyone's mind. So if you are if you are here because you are opposed to this dispensary, and you generally, for at least some of the reasons that I mentioned, are against it, please raise your hand now, either online or in public.
$47.48 online. So Tiffany, mentioned.
Great, thank you very much. You can put your hand down. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. You can put your hand down online. Thank you very much. As I said, the second question is anything Arisha's new commitments regarding sound, and regarding he's not going to ever apply for a consumption lounge. Please raise your hand if that changes your mind. I'm not asking if you support, that'll be a separate question, but if you previously did not support and now you do support this application based on that testimony. Okay.
May I make comments on that?
Sorry. No. All right, we're gonna say zero, unless, did they change your mind, sir?
No.
No, okay, then no, thank you. Sorry. I do need to summarize we did receive 4 letters of support. Generally, you know, these are, were people who wrote in to say that they believe that the people who showed up at the meeting on Tuesday didn't represent all of London Terrace. It was just about 75 people out of the hundreds of people who actually live in the building. And so it was not representative. They also think that there was some conflation between the legal and illegal dispensaries, and that this operator presented as a professional and responsible operator. That's what the letters of support said. Is there anyone here to speak in support of this application, or here because they support this applicant? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, so let me check. I thought we did one. 3 from each side and speak, or do just.
If you want to do that, then do you want to do?
Andy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Matt, as well.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, so what we're gonna do, thank you for raising your hand. We have 3 online in support, obviously many more against. I know that everyone wants an opportunity to speak, but again, we just simply can't do it. It's just too hard. So we know that there are at least a few somewhat representative individuals here on behalf of the various boards and associations at London Terrace, who I think can speak hopefully more on behalf of everyone who is here. So I know Andy Hum, Matthew Klein, if you want to raise your hands, we're going to let them speak. And board member in person, we will let you be the 3rd person to speak. Thank you. And then we will allow the 3 people who came out in support to speak, and then we will return to committee discussion. So Andy and Matthew Klein. And again, we really do appreciate everyone showing. We understand, you know, again, if it was not 100+ people, we would love to hear everyone speak.
People, but there are boards that are in the neighborhood. And in fact, your commentary about enforcement is all about the enforcement of how many, but we don't talk about the enforcement of the shrapnel, of the effect of a place like this in the neighborhood, in a residential area, which is not just London Terrace. We represent 100 households. Yeah.
Understood. And well, we're going to take a look at timing, because again, if the general sentiment is just that you are opposed to this location, it is a sentiment that I think we understand. But let's just see timing. So if we could hear from Andy, and if you can keep it brief, Andy, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I am Andy Hum, the treasurer of the London Terrace Tenants Association. We were founded in 1955. You mentioned that there are a lot of residents here. Just in the London Terrace Gardens, there are 980 apartments. With London Terrace Towers, there are 1,600 apartments with approximately 3,000 residents. That's big. So you have the letter from our president, Chenko. No one is opposed to the legalization of marijuana. And I know that's on the table, and it's a good thing. But this, and again, let's talk about dimensions. This is a 6,000 square foot space. And our opposition is based on what else the space is going to be used for, beyond dispensing. And why does it need long hours, you know, the late hours in order to do that, and all those kinds of things. So there's some concession that there's going to be some kind of live music from time to time. But what is going to happen with all that space? And when we had the meeting with Mr. Halani, there was no indication of what's going to happen with the basement space, which is a 2,000 square foot space that he has, which also intersects with the building in the 405 building, which is in the towers. So these are the concerns, and and that raises security concerns for the building as well, that there's basement access. So, people who buy marijuana, take it home or elsewhere to smoke are not a concern. But a superstore with such great space, what's it going to be used for, is something that could very well be an attractive nuisance. And as you say, you're not ruling out promotional events and parties and those kinds of things. So a dispensary doesn't have to be so large a space to be successful. This is entirely the wrong place for one, and we urge you to reject it. And by the way, at an open forum, Mr. Halani misrepresented his other store, saying it was in Harvard Square, a bustling hub of Cambridge, Massachusetts, but apparently it's quite a distance from Harvard Square.
Great. Thank you very much, Andy. Matthew?
Hi. Am I on?
Yep, you're on.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Matthew Klein. I'm the board president for London Terrace Towers. We're at the four buildings, the four corners of 23rd Street and 24th Street, 9th and 10th. We wrote a letter to Community Board 4. There was a reach out by Harit Mr. Alani for our residents. The response from that was overwhelmingly negative to the proposition of having the cannabis store in 410. And because of that, we just cannot support the application. And that's in brief.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for keeping it brief. Sir, I didn't get your name, but
Lloyd Denfrod, I'm a former board member, London Terrace Towers, I'm a shareholder and resident there. Of course, Andy was talking about the square footage mismatch, and it's actually more than 2,000 square feet in the basement. But I just want to touch on what the applicant just said, because I've heard, this is the third occasion I'm listening to the applicant, and I find him not credible because he's changing his story. For example, on the live music, he appears to be backpedaling now to minimizing it to being, only during a special occasion like an opening or, one musical instrument. He didn't say that just 2 nights ago when we had the Zoom meeting with the towers. Also, he said he was looking initially for 1,200 to 3,000 square feet. And in his discussion with the gardens, that Zoom meeting, he said he decided to go with this 3,000 square foot space. Well, the street level is over 3,600 square feet, with more than 2,300 square feet in the basement. It's a mismatch. He's a statistical outlier, and this seems to be an ambitious mega marijuana market with the live music and people coming in to speak and promote for products. So, and we don't know what this is going to be or what it's going to become. In the basement, right now, the configuration might change, but there's a dedicated contained staircase that connects the basement to the street level. And beneath it, the Capital One Bank that used to occupy there had their server computer room, very large, size of a bedroom, very large, so very well ventilated. And that would be ideal for a VIP smoking consumption lounge and whatever other activity might be going on there. And it's well sequestered within the basement space because it's behind the shaft of the building, the 405 building, elevators and stairs. When I was on the board in 2017, with the help of Community Board 4 and my work on the Board of Managers at London Terrace Towers, we succeeded in stopping the commercial lease of a problem applicant. We're hoping to do that again now. In 2003, when I was living in a different building, we had a similar situation with an applicant coming to the building right next to us. His daddy had just bought the building, and his daddy was allowing him to have the street level to open up a bar. It was supposed to be just a happy hour bar. I think that developed into a nightclub on the first floor, and then he went down to the basement and he connected all the basement square footage with the street level, and we had a real problem, and we were dealing with Community Board 4 meetings, police council meetings, and the police were on site every night with a van there trying to control the pandemonium.
thank you very much. Thank you for testimony. If you're here to speak in favor of this applicant, if you'd like to speak in favor of this applicant, please raise your hand on Zoom.
Hi, can I speak?
Yes, hi Joe.
I just want to ask, how long has that space been empty? Years. It has been empty for years. Homeless people hang out there. And it's right next to a liquor store. So if we're talking about vice and that sort of thing, and it's a weed store next to a liquor store, and it is an empty lot that has been empty for years and years and years. And I think that any business that wants to should be
So,
considered.
his name is Joe, and we're gonna let him speak. Thank you. All right, keep going, Joe.
But that's my point is it's been abandoned for years. I don't think it's a problem. It's right next to a liquor store. No one has a problem with the liquor store, so I don't understand why we would have a problem with a weed store.
Great, great. Thank you very much, Joe. Let's move over from, to
Who is this?
Gail, Amanda, and
Where is
Okay.
your
They need to introduce themselves.
Those, I don't want these people in the, for the, I don't think these people are in support.
if you are here to speak in support, please keep your hand up. If you are not in support, please lower your hand. Thank you.
I can identify themselves.
Yeah, sure. I will ask that. Oh, no,
How do I
But
get
Joe,
rid
while
of
we
my?
have you, Joe, while we have you, where do you live?
I live at 555 West 23rd, and a dear friend of mine that I take care of lives in London Terrace. I visit him every day. I'm in that building every single day. I walk by that corner every single day. And it's mostly, there's Doug and John and Miriam, the different homeless people in the neighborhood that are panhandling there. They're all wonderful people. But that place has been closed for almost a decade, and something should move in there.
Okay, thank you, excuse me, thank you very much, Joe.
This is hyperbole.
Thank you, Joe. Dan, please.
I guess it's just me. I'm the Dan,
Yes, I can. Yes.
but I'm not speaking in favor. I'm opposed. Is that okay?
Okay, well then, thank you very much for being here, and we're gonna remove you from the the video. Thank you for the honesty. Is there anyone here else who is here to speak in favor of the applicant? We'll try Amanda, but Amanda.
You don't need me anymore, correct?
No, we do not. Bye, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Oh,
I'm in apartment 2B directly above the space. We're talking to a lot of people that live in the neighborhood. If we could have the opportunity to speak directly, because we are directly above the space, I'd really appreciate that opportunity, but I understand that you're only seeking folks for the space. We are opposed, but I just want to put that out there as being directly above.
perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to, let's open, I'm gonna return it to the task force right now, decide what to do from here. Do we feel like we need more testimony from other members of the public? Or do we have, are there certain sentiments that we already feel on how we're gonna vote and we should proceed to do so? I open it up to you.
Dolores, like already is.
Dolores, yeah, or Dolores, feel free to jump in, Dolores, you can just unmute yourself.
So I think it's very clear that the community is not comfortable with this application. Simple as that. And I don't see any reason for this task force to opine in any other way other than to hear the voices of the community that are very clearly not welcoming of this opportunity at this location.
Great, thank you, Dolores. Does everyone agree? Does anyone disagree with that sentiment? I agree.
And I think it's gonna surprise you that I think that I will be voting differently from I imagine everyone else in the committee on this application.
As you should be.
I ended having seen the presentation last month, and I thought it was an exceptionally good presentation. And I feel it is wrong to deny an application where the applicant has clearly met all the requirements we have put forth in the security plan in terms of all the other things we've asked applicants to do, which are somewhat onerous and has gone through all those hoops and all those steps. And I did take a chance to look at the letters, and I have also heard the summary here. I did not find them to be, although I did find the number quite impressive, I did not find them to be the content of the concerns to be particularly different from the contents of the concerns we tend to hear on any block in the city where there are almost always some people who object. Although I do totally grant there's a higher number here, perhaps due to the size of the terrace. I have said my piece though, and I'm happy to go ahead with the vote.
I think the people that we got opposed to this is just the tip of the iceberg here. There are plenty of people who didn't go to the meeting.
Make sure you speak up just so they can.
Sorry. They probably didn't go to the meetings, wouldn't go to the meetings, And I think it's just a beehive of problems going forward for this particular group. Maybe in a smaller building, they can work it out together between a prospective operator and tenants, but it's complicated.
And the last thing I will just say is, based on, Arish's lottery number, I'm guessing no matter which way we vote, it may be moot. Arish did not pull a very good lottery number, sorry, Arish, but maybe, you know, but either way, we should still comment since we have the opportunity to. So is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to deny the application.
Motion to deny the application.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor of denying the application, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. He was opposed, so no present, not eligible, no abstaining. Arish, thank you very much for the time that you put in. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for the excellent presentation. Thank you for trying to make a dialogue, but unfortunately, it does seem like this is just not a location that's going to work. It just makes too many of your neighbors feel uncomfortable. And as we represent the neighborhood, you know, it's usually important that we listen to our neighbors and make sure that their voices are heard. But thank you very much, Arish. Good luck to you. And by the way, I should also say for the record, our letter continues only to be advisory. OCM has final say in this. So Arish is still free to move forward with his application, and they can still grant him a license, but they will have our letter recommending denial for summarizing all the reasons that we've discussed and many of the reasons in the letter. And they will have that letter with them. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Move on to the second item, once everyone's had a chance to gather themselves. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, Andy, I'm really sorry. For some reason, I can't move you back to the attendees. So, yeah, you're either this, or if you want to jump off on your own volition, you're more than welcome to rejoin the conversation, but I'm probably inviting you.
Okay, I'm leaving.
All right, it's up to you. I don't mean to be pushy.
Got us back. Still waiting on that there. You deserve a donut.
I'll take a donut.
Two donuts.
No, the take a donut's for later in the night after I need more like. Is this a coconut?
Red velvet.
Item number two.
Item number two, Zenleaf. If you're here to present on behalf of Zenleaf, 107 West 25th Street, please come forward. Again, I will summarize. The order of operations will be, I will summarize what happened from last time with Sapkin in. We will hear from them, any updates, and then we will proceed to ask any questions, and then hear from the public. We'll say I'm a little concerned that there are still 80 participants online. Really hoping item number one would clear our eyes. I'm guessing item number two is the next most contentious. Are you here for number two, sir?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, that's good. At least my predictions are correct. Okay, good. Okay. Rakesh with his hand raised. Dennis is already here. Hello, good to see you again, Dennis.
Good to see you, everyone.
All right, so just to summarize where we're at and what's going on. So just like the previous applicant, Dennis and Rakesh were here with us a month ago, again, gave a very fulsome presentation, very detailed, down to literally where every security camera would be. It was clearly very thoughtful, and they had considered all the regulations and rules of the OCM regulations. That being said, there were concerns about this particular location. This block has been having a lot of trouble with delivery drivers out front. They also have a shelter on the block whose name is right now escaping me, BRC, which stands for, anyone know? Valerie.
They just go by BRC, so we can move on.
Let's go by BRC, which is on the block, which tends to can cause some trouble for neighbors and tenants in terms of crime on the street and police being called to this particular block. And so a lot of the residents and neighbors of this block are especially concerned about just having one more establishment that they believe could draw in more unwanted activity on the streets. And so because of those concerns, and we were a little concerned that there just hadn't been enough outreach on the street, and we were hoping that maybe with one more month, there could be some reconciliation between the applicant and the residents, and maybe some concessions on the part of the applicants, or something to make the residents feel more comfortable. So I do not fully know the update, so I'd love to hear what has happened over the last month from the applicant. But I also have two more questions for the applicant before they begin. And again, Dennis, we're not going to ask you to redo your presentation. Please don't. If you are curious about seeing the presentation, you can go online, watch our committee meeting from a month ago. Dennis, just if you could give us an update of what's happened in the last month, if anything has changed, if any of your plans have changed, and also two questions for you. The first question is, if you were in the lottery, what number was pulled? And two, as we've mentioned, Verity on West 23rd has now opened. It was a card applicant and they're up and running. Our understanding, Dennis, is that they now have proximity protection within 1,000 feet and that you are within that 1,000 feet. So if you, so we would like to explain to you why you believe that a store here would not be in violation of OCM regulations. Please take it away. Thank you.
I thank you, Jesse, and the community board for your time for today's meeting. I'm not going to go over the same presentation I did last time, but I have prepared a presentation covering the steps we've taken for community outreach. If I have the permission, I will present it. To address your two other questions, the presentation does address both the position in the queue and our thoughts on it, as well as the presence of another cannabis store within 1,000 feet. There is a stipulation within the regulations that says the OCM can write a waiver for this 1,000 feet distance if it is in the public interest for convenience and availability. And that's something I will discuss as well. Am I free to present?
Yes, you're free to present. Obviously, please just be cognizant of time. And if you do it in less than 5 minutes, we would appreciate it. Thank you. But we do appreciate the presentation.
I'll keep it brief.
Okay,
so just really quickly, once more, we are Zenleaf LLC at the proposed location of 107 West 25th Street. Our community outreach started with reaching out to the West 25th Street Block Association, as well as every other block association that was presented to us. On the 21st of December, we had a very productive community board meeting where we met the members of the team and some valued residents of the community.
You look great. Yeah. Everyone looks so good. Yeah.
I tried my best to take flattering screenshots. I hope I didn't offend anyone.
Thank you.
On the 22nd of December, so immediately following that meeting, we had done a concerted effort to reach out to the attendees that specifically spoke out to us at that meeting. And I also want to be mindful within this month time period, it has been the New Year's, it has been the holidays, and so that really has also impacted other people's availability. I just want that to be present. Immediately following the meeting, the first steps that were taken was to walk around the community and speak to residents and businesses to gather their thoughts and determine what their concerns may be. For the most part, there was a lot of positive commentary. People were excited and truly did believe that a legal store would be beneficial to push out those illegal cannabis smoke shops around the area. Businesses were open to the type of business opportunities that they would bring, but some general topics of concern were relating to crowding in front of the streets, possible impacts on vulnerable communities, and street presence. Then there was the new year, obviously, and following that, we reached out to 107 West 25th Street's property manager of the store. We are also engaged with Rachel Chelsea, who is the president, I believe, of the board. And we're still working on scheduling that meeting. We had done an in-person meeting, Rinkesh had done an in-person meeting with the attendees that were at that original community board presentation, and the general sentiments were generally supportive, although the concerns that were raised were similar to what we found when walking around the neighborhood. There's concerns about the activity in front of the store. There was concerns about hiring practices and committing to diversity, sidewalk integrity and street presence, and the vulnerable population, specifically being BRC. And we have solutions that we presented to them and others that would specifically target these issues. For example, activity in front of the store and crowding. We have proposed a ticketing system where if there is a significant amount of crowd, we provide customers with tickets where they'll be sent a text message on their phone when they're ready for their orders to be picked up. Likewise, we would also offer online pickup orders to ensure that there isn't too much crowding in front of the store, and train staff to disperse crowds in a correct manner. In terms of hiring practices, we would commit to specific diversity targets to allow diverse staff members to be part of the business, as well as those from impacted communities and those from the neighborhood internally. For sidewalk integrity and street presence, we've actually created some slides that show a general mock-up of what we envision for the store. And for the vulnerable population, we would specifically provide training for our internal staff to both recognize what the vulnerable population may look like, as well as engage with BRC on a very fundamental level to ensure that we do not bring a risk to those communities. In support of our engagement, we've reached out to the Chief Development Officer of BRC, Shira Fisher, in terms of building this relationship and engagement. And to further involve our presence with the residents, we've done a roundtable webinar where we posted these flyers, as you can see based on those pictures, to gather the community's interest. Unfortunately, we didn't get any attendance, but we are still looking forward to doing more of these as the application process moves on, as there's further support from the community. Here are some examples of the exterior mock-ups. Now, the regulations prohibit any sort of visibility of the interior of the store. So what we envision is just having display panels behind the front with greenery to really show the type of class and nature environment that we're going for. And part of that exterior sidewalk integrity would be to work with the city to ensure that the sidewalk is clean. If there's broken sidewalk, work to get permits to really clean it up. For the interior, we're looking to really do a high-class operation with display cases similar to those you might find in a jewelry store. Everything would be locked. Everything would be under display cases. All products would be stored behind a locked storage room, as we presented to you on our previous meeting. And then there's the question of the 1,000-meter proximity. It was unfortunately made to our notice that Verde Cannabis opened on 158 West 23rd Street. A significant challenge of all applicants that applied in the non-provisional pathway is that the OCM did not release a list of locations that have proximity protection, making those applicants very vulnerable to purchasing leases that would just be ineligible. Now, the regulations do stipulate a certain waiver that can be granted in specific situations, as long that would allow the 1,000 feet proximity to be waived if they believe it promotes public convenience and advantage. The community board, Manhattan Community Board area, has an approximate population of around 100,000 residents. It's fair to say that there's enough residents to be supported by 2 locations that are within this distance. In fact, it would put further pressure on the illegal smoke shops that are around the area, and it would also work to reduce crowding in front of either store. I don't think there's not enough room for both of these stores here. And then to speak about the position in the queue, I state adjusted position because that takes that accounts for any duplicate applications that clients have put. I'd also just like to clarify a very common misconception that I heard at the start of the meeting. Social equity and economic equity applicants did not actually get weighted any different than regular applicants. They were in the lottery just like the rest of the other applicants. The only applications which received extra priority were specifically called extra priority applicants that met the requirements of having less than 80% median salary, had a cannabis conviction, and were also of a minority and had lived in a disproportionately impacted community for over 5 years. Only those that met all of those categories had actually received any different sort of weighting in the pool. Now, we recognize that the OCM is committing to licensing 250 applicants from this round, and that there's a high chance we might not even get selected. Our request is that the community board would still approve this location based on the premise of promoting public convenience and advantage if we were to get selected for review. And if no license is offered, we would still appreciate from the community board a comment on the positive integrity of the applicant and that you would welcome us for further discussions in the future if additional opportunities were to arise. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that presentation. That was actually very, very helpful. As was the last one, you are very good at your slide deck making, sir. Real quick, just to confirm, and then I'll open it up to questions from the task force. Do you have any other applications in that queue under a different LLC name or under different applicants? Or is this your one and only application?
In this queue, there are no other applications.
Thank you. I see a hand from Dolores, and anyone else is welcome to jump in. Dolores, go ahead.
I would like to start by saying this applicant is very lucky to have you, Dennis. You're extremely thorough, and you clearly are understanding of the concerns and the issues. I do think, however, that this is trying to fit the round peg into the square hole. And even though there may be an opportunity for OCM to grant a waiver, it makes no sense. If there are as many people as you say, that's fine, but there are as many empty storefronts all across this entire city where your really detailed and wonderfully described operation can also work. I just wanted to note that I do think that you will be very successful in this operation. I just think considering that there already is a license, there is general opposition in this vicinity, not to you or your operation, but just the idea of having more cannabis, whether legal or illegal, in the area, and it's a troubled street with some problems. I think that it may be best to find another location. Thank you.
Anyone else from the task force with questions? So I do want to hear from the go.
Yes, Dennis, great presentation, very helpful, and a relief to know that you followed up with the community and you did some good outreach. I'd like to know, do you have currently a letter of intent, an option to lease, or are you actually leasing the place? Are you actually spending money on a month to month while you get your license?
I can answer that for you. I can answer that, Dennis. We currently have a lease right now. We are paying monthly. Yes,
Thanks.
Thank you.
no problem.
Put this up more,
These are, yeah,
These are questions. right?
There's a question, yeah, because I have thoughts, but I have only questions for now.
Yeah.
Also, excellent presentation. Thank you for your details. My question is, it is less than 1,000 feet. What is the actual distance?
I'm sorry.
I counted it, Dennis can tell me if I'm wrong, but I counted it around 700.
Okay.
Yeah, it was around
Approximately
750, something like that. And that's a straight line distance, not walking distance.
On the same road? No, so the 1,000 foot, they count, like everything else, OCM makes it more difficult than it needs, they change it, so what they count what they count for 500 feet to a school is different from how they count from 1,000 feet between.
That is absolutely correct.
So it's a straight line shot, so it's like how the crow flies, it's 1,000 feet, so the radius goes all the way around that. So it doesn't have to be on the same road, it just cannot be.
Could be around the corner.
It could be around the corner, it could be, so that's like 23rd Street, 6th and 7th, they're within 1,000 feet of that, even though they're on 25th Street.
Thank you for the clarification.
Ronnie, no. Okay, just for show of hands right now, and just getting a sense of how many people we have, because this will affect whether we can hear from people or how many we can hear from. If you are here in opposition to this application, either in person or online, please just raise your hand right now. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. 2013, yeah. All right, thank you very much. You can put your hands down. If you are, please put your hands down. Thank you. If you are here in favor or here to speak on behalf of, in support of this application, please put your hand up now. Okay. I fear that there's just a little too many to hear from everyone this evening. I know Carla, you have been, leading a group on this block, so I'm welcome to hear from you. I'm sorry I don't mean to impose my will on who gets to speak. Obviously, we would love to hear from everyone. There's just, we have a long agenda ahead of us. So I'll ask Carla to speak, and then if there's anyone who thinks that Carla did not capture their sentiments, then they can raise their hand. But hopefully, Carla, you can sort of speak on behalf of everyone. So give it your best shot.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm opposed to this, and I kind of want to cry because I've worked so hard for the last 11 years for this block to work for the people who live on it and the people who visit it. And I took Rishank on a tour of the block. When he reached out, I got in touch with him. I took him on a tour. I took him to the CVS to see how locked up our CVS is, because there's so many problems with things being stolen from there. I took him to BRC. It was in the winter. It was on a Sunday, so there wasn't much activity. The Fresh Direct trucks weren't there. I want to remind you also, we also have a club across the street, which is just one more assault on the block. And I tried to explain to him what the issues are, that there are a lot of people hanging out on the block. We have, the people from BRC have no common space downstairs, so they spend their time, on the block. There's a lot of panhandling. There are a lot of people who service the people at BRC, which means that the only drug, there are drugs available everywhere on this block. They're available on the street. And my concern is the safety of the people who would be coming to this location to the dispensary, as well as the safety of people on the block, because everyone's going to know what people are getting here, and it happens to be something that a lot of people want. I don't think that the BRC clients will be customers there because they won't be able to afford it. But it's word on the, there's going to be street action. Now, I asked about security, and one thing that was very disturbing to me was that Rasheen said, well, when we start off, we'll probably have, we'll have a company that hires, police, and we'll have an armed security guard. We have children in our building. We don't, we don't want any kind of activity like that happening. It's outside of our building. I feel that they're very naive. I mean, they have a beautiful presentation. They have a beautiful, PowerPoint and all that. But Rashink did not listen to the things that I was saying. He just said, oh, no, it's no problem. I've been on this block for a long time, for over 30 years. And I've been in this block when it's been really challenging because there's no one here, and when it's been really challenging because of the people here. People do not, I said, who are your clientele? He said, oh, well, we're going to, older people who are looking for sleep aids. People don't walk down our block, and they don't walk down our block. People from our neighborhood don't walk down our block because it's such a challenging block to walk down. And I think that's a real consideration. My own concern, because I live right above this, is that when they realize that people aren't going to be coming to them, they'll go to 23rd Street, but they won't. I don't think they'll come here. When they realize that, they're going to say, oh, well, there's the club across the street, so let's stay open until 2 in the morning, and let's, attract them. And the activity at 2 o'clock in the morning is just like, someone eventually is going to get hit by a car because there are people all over the place. And it adds one more thing. And one of the things also I have to say that really disturbed me is basically Rasheen said, well, we've got a lease on it, so we could bring something you don't like. Maybe you'll like this better. And I've been in the city too long to have to put up with that type of threat of something. We are good neighbors, and we want to be good neighbors. And I just think this is not the right location for it. And now that I hear that it's in 700 feet of another, of a legal dispensary, I think this is the type of place that could pull down the whole thing. We're in Liz Kruger's district. Liz Kruger is the one who was the prime sponsor of the bill that created this whole legislation. And I know from my experience, it wasn't done. There are issues. Whenever you start something new, there are always issues. But I think if we had a situation here in her district, and because of the instability of the population here, that violence occurs, I think people would say all over the state, you see, that's what that we should have never let this happen. So I just, as I said, I just want to cry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla. Is there anyone else online or in person who feels like they have some other points that was not at all related or covered by Carla's commentary, which covered a lot? I'm hoping she captured most of everyone's feelings and sentiments. But if there's anyone who has anything else additional.
Hey, Jesse.
We're gonna let you respond. We're gonna let you respond, Rakesh. I just want to hear from everyone first, and then, so just write that, keep notes, and then we'll let you respond. We have one gentleman here. You can state your name and speak loudly so that the microphone can hear you.
Yeah, Art Bascom. I live in 107 West 25th Street. I think what I would emphasize a bit more is the size of the BRC shelter there is significant. Between the drug rehab and the shelter, there's, I think a peak could be 600 people. What I want to convey is I hear that they want to have security inside the store, but it is quite literally impossible to control the folks from the BRC. And when I say that, I don't want this to sound fresh, but they literally pee on our door, they defecate in our doorway. If you put something that there are people in that facility looking to kick, and then you put a bright shiny object right in front of them, it's almost inhumane in my view, to put that store there when there's people trying to kick like serious drug habits. The other thing I would just say is, I don't know that the smoke shop, which is probably 50 feet, 60 feet maybe, away, would be put out of business. I hear that argument a lot, and maybe the one next to us is different. I almost think it's complementary to their business. They don't, at least legally, sell pot, weed, or cannabis. They sell the accoutrements that could be used, so I feel like it would almost enhance their business. I know you said there are thousands, and we're not gonna make this about all of the illegal ones, but it seems like you'd be fighting your own battle, you're up against your own battle to get rid of the illegal ones, because I think this would actually help them. So anyways, the rest is quite captured.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the comments. Rikesh, we'll let you just generally respond to some of the comments that were made, and then we will talk amongst ourselves as on the task force. So, but go ahead, you obviously have a chance to respond.
Yeah, thank you, Carla, and thank you, Bill, for meeting with us and, talking to us. I just want to clarify one thing that Carla said. She said a few things which I kind of didn't agree with, and I hope I didn't leave that impression on her. One thing that I found really concerning is that she said that I made a threat, like putting something else down there. I did not say that I will put a business there in place of, just in case we don't get the cannabis dispensary. I said that what I told her is that, a business is like a smoke shop. They don't need to come in from a community board to get permission to open up a cannabis dispensary. Would you rather have a cannabis dispensary who comes in, presents themselves in front of a community board and, conducts business responsibly? Or do you rather have somebody, do you rather have this space vacant or, being taken over by somebody who's irresponsible and who don't need to show any responsibility in front of a community board? I think, I personally think that a cannabis dispensary, a legal cannabis dispensary, is probably a better option to have on the block rather than a smoke shop who doesn't have to be, who doesn't need to come answer anybody. And they'll just open it up and they'll sell it to whoever they want, and they'll sell it to minors or anybody. So that was one thing that I wanted to clarify. So that I did not make any sort of a threats about opening up another business. I don't have an interest in opening up any businesses there if it's not a cannabis shop. I'm paying expensive rent right now while I have the space, and I did not even think about opening anything other than smoke shop, having a cannabis dispensary there. Another thing is that I was just saying that that we will have a security guards. I'm not too sure. I did not say that I will have armed guards. I said I'm not too sure if we will have armed guards or not, because I'll have to think, that's a decision that Haresh has to take. And most likely we don't want to have an armed guard, but if we do need to keep somebody there for 3 months or so, we will have somebody who is professional, like, retired police officer, or, somebody who is responsible, somebody who doesn't, just have a weapon in their hands, who doesn't know the responsibility. I'd rather have somebody who's a retired police officer who has experience handling the weapon if I do go with somebody, if I do go with an armed guard. So that was, I said it in that context. I did not say that I will have an armed guard there, nor did I say that I will put up something else instead of a cannabis dispensary. I just want to make that clear. And another few points I'm not even going to bother talking about, but those are the two main ones.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to now hear from members of the task force. Thoughts, and I have some myself, obviously, but I'd like to hear from you first. Go ahead.
Sorry. I had a few minor responses as well. Is that okay if I just go really quick?
I think if it's all right, just for timing's sake, we're gonna move on to just task force discussion. But if we have follow-up questions for you, we'll let you know. But thank you, Dennis, and thank you for patience. Go ahead.
I think overall I'm not in support of this application. After I think it made sense that we have them come back in this month. I think the concerns about the BRC, those are significant and fairly, sort of there are other shelters and like drug recovery facilities in the district, but there'll not be one on every block or directly across from every proposed dispensary location. And then I think also the 700 feet thing. I didn't know that OCM had a process for issuing that kind of waiver. That doesn't seem crazy to me. And maybe there are cases where it's appropriate, but I do think that's a bigger discussion and not one that we're going to probably makes sense first to look at applicants who are at least 1,000 feet. And then later on, like I said, it doesn't seem crazy to me at all. In a place as dense as Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen, have some that are closer to 1,000 feet, but I think that is a bigger later discussion. And we can do that after we've looked at applicants who are with at least 1,000 feet.
All I would add to that is that from the waiver discussion, it sounded like part of that waiver required community support, which we aren't seeing as well. So I think it's hard to even talk about a waiver or start to talk about exceptions. And we have so few actual licensed dispensaries right now, and without showing that there is community support for it. So I agree.
So I was certainly agree with both comments, but I think what the gentleman brought up about the view from the other side of the street of the folks that have been there is an issue that really hasn't even been discussed, talked about, or even thought about in any way. So I think that was a very good point that we made about the impact it would have on BRC.
Yeah, I'm also feeling conflicted about this application. And I feel for the applicant because I hate to see a startup business having to put up so much money, paying monthly lease, take all these risks, and then based upon OCM's requirements, and then run into this kind of opposition. But I'm gonna have to go with not being I'm gonna be in opposition to this application.
Maybe we should, maybe we should add a note to our letter that OCM should to provide better information about locations in the future.
Rather do it down
Yeah, it's consensus to what you've heard, and BRC is the big issue. And I think sort of the tension we feel is that Dennis, you did an excellent job. I think you will be, the business will be a great neighbor, but not on this block at this time. Again, that's 300, less than 300 feet. This is OCM's rule. It's BRC, so I am concerned about that.
So I'll just share my own thoughts, which obviously must agree with everyone here. No, I think Dolores says. Oh, yeah.
I made all my points. I really, I didn't have anything else to say. But I did want to say, I really appreciate Wendy's comments because Wendy, what you said is just key. If there are waivers, it really needs to be demonstrated that there's an overwhelming community support. And without that, it would make no sense for the task force to advocate for that. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. Yes, I am worried about the precedent that would set, because I do want to, be mindful of that regulation. And in the instance where a waiver would be justified, I want to make sure that, that community support is there. I do also want to know that, I am aware that when BRC was formally notified about this potential dispensary, they had a meeting of their members, and I know that the staff there at least expressed a significant concern about this dispensary. I will also say I think the gentleman's point here, it is a decent one in the sense that typically, as you've heard me say, I do think that fears of legal dispensaries are often overblown. I think a good analogy is to a wine store or to a liquor store. But in this instance, would we want a wine store or liquor store directly next to across from such a large shelter? And I do think the answer is probably not a good location for that. And I think, continuing that analogy here, it makes sense. The applicant did ask, though, that in the event that we vote not to approve that location, that we write an additional letter still recommending just some sort of general sentiment of approval for this applicant, and that we would be happy to have them come back in our district. I would be happy to support that. I don't know if anyone disagrees with that. I don't think so. Jesse Bodine?
I would just say, I think if we're saying in support of the applicant, I think that would be a board vote, that would be something you'd be sending to the board, if that's your intention.
Yeah.
If you're saying, you're writing in a letter saying this is what happened, we found their presentation to be professional, they've been
Yeah.
responsive to our demands, our requests, and that we welcome them to come back.
Yeah.
And with any time with a new location, I think that could be an administrative letter.
Okay.
We're not making a declaration of support or deny about their.
Yeah, so let's make it a.
So I think that might be a moving faster process. Whatever you guys vote on in terms of this current application, that would go to the full board, but there's something else that could be.
And maybe the administrative letter is better too, just so that there's no confusion and we don't, and that usually carries a good amount of weight also.
So motion to deny this location. And I agree with Jesse that this is appropriate as an administrative letter to comment on the merits of this applicant and their attorney.
Okay, so motion to deny this applicant, all those in favor, raise your hands. Okay, seeing none opposed, no abstentions. Rakesh, Dennis, thank you so much for all the time that you put into this, and I do, to share our sentiments, the frustration we feel for you of the money of a lease, and how poorly these regulations in this program has been rolled out, affects so many small business owners, and it makes my heart break. Truly, it's been difficult for us, but it's so much more difficult for you. And it always feels like the target continues to move and you're doing the best that you can. And I want to say that, so that part is, especially the 1,000-foot thing, that is through no fault of your own. And OCM, we will include in our letter that OCM needs to do a significantly better job of keeping applicants informed about who has proximity protection and when they're getting it. So sorry about that. Thank you for being here. We do hope to see you again for another location.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
very much.
Mark, appreciate it. Have a good day.
Good night. Okay, we are almost an hour and a half in. We are just getting to item number 3. This is 304 West 40th Street, Health Kitchen Store. Bruce, we have Bruce with us. Bruce, if you want to raise your hand, and if there anyone else from your establishment who want to come and speak, they should raise their hand as well. Just as before, I will give a quick background. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Push the green button.
Yeah, that's you right. I'll give a quick background, let Bruce catch us up on anything new that's happened. Public comments, same thing. We've been through this before, but this is the last of the returning applicants. Everything else after this is new to us.
I believe Bruce has someone.
Yes, let's ask.
On the phone second. Bruce, are you with us? You have to come on turn on your camera if you're with us.
I know what Bruce. What's happening on time? Come on, Bruce.
We'll try one more time. Bruce, you have to accept it. There you go. Thank you.
And Randy. Randy, are you here to speak on behalf of this application as well? Randy?
You're on mute, Randy.
Randy, I'm mute.
Hey, good evening. How are you? Can you hear me?
Good. Are you here to speak on behalf of
Yes.
304 West 40th Street? Yes, okay.
Correct. I'm actually with Bruce. Bruce should be on the phone or on the line as well. He's probably just trying to connect.
We're waiting for him to come over. Yeah, we'll give him one more second. We keep losing him.
He's there. Bruce, you just have to come up mute.
And video.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hey,
Bruce.
Okay,
right.
so Randy Rambat will be our employee in charge. Whenever he is there, he will be the general manager, and he will take care of day-to-day operations of Times Square Cannabis.
Okay, great. Give me a second,
So-
Bruce. Bruce, just hold up 1 second. I just want to sort of catch everyone up, public and members of the task force where we are, and then we'll get to you. So, for those who remember, Bruce came before us last month, gave us a presentation about, his proposal for, a Hell's Kitchen store. Bruce is a disabled veteran, and is applying, as an SEE applicant, for this space. We expressed significant concerns about Bruce's preparation and understanding of OCM regulations and rules. And we were worried that he had not thought through precisely what opening a dispensary takes and the requirements, and wanted to make sure that he did not send us a detailed security plan or a detailed floor plan or any of the other number of items that we've asked for. In the interim, Bruce has sent us a number of screenshots of a number of what seemed to be the security plan. Although I am curious, Bruce, and I'll pass this around to the task force members, but where this came from and if it's a copy and paste from the regulations, but you'll let me know. Our concerns were just sort of a lack of professional experience with cannabis, which a lot of our applicants, of course, have. There are a few applicants don't have to have professional experience in the cannabis industry, but typically we ask that they hire consultants who do have such experience to help them get their businesses off the ground. The final thing that I will say as a reminder is that we approved the micro business Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective directly across the street. And I understand that they are very likely and close to getting proximity protection themselves. So there's a decent chance that we were running into the same issue here with the Hell's Kitchen store. But Bruce, we would like to hear what you've done in the interim. If there's any new information you can bring us, and also, as we've asked the other applicants, are you on the, were you given a number on the SEE lottery, and if so, what is your number?
I was not able to find myself on that list. That is being looked into at this time. And I'll know more about that tomorrow. I don't know why I'm not on the list, the queue. Maybe we could talk about the site plan.
Sure.
Can you hear me all right there?
Yeah. You can talk about anything, but I'd just love to hear what more you've done, and obviously, talk to us about Randy and what role he plays and his experience, although he's obviously welcome to speak on behalf of himself.
Randy is running the Hell's Kitchen convenience store. He is familiar with ordering, manifest, bill of lading, purchase orders, how the general running of a store, keep stock, keep the store in stock, employee management, tax paying, the usual stuff. And he's very good at it, as far as I know.
And yeah, just to add to that, my experience also involves I'm actually a disabled veteran myself. I served in the military for over 10 years, so I know how to handle my staff and just keeping everything sanitized for not just inside the store, externally, just dealing with all sorts of life walking tourists, the homeless, local residents, and at the end of the day, we have been running our convenience store for a little under 1 year, but we're already generating north of $500,000 in revenue. So my numbers just speak for itself. Not much I have to say. Correct. Yes, that is correct. We are located between 8th and 9th Avenue on 40th Street, approximately 150 feet on 8th Avenue in the cut. So we are not on 8th Avenue, but just going inside. Our location, I see very little opposition with everything that is requested through OCM. I think we possessed a opportunity for not ourselves to make money, but an opportunity to showcase to many tourists that comes around our store. 80% of our customers are foreigners, and at the end of the day, we represent New York City. That's what I train my staff to do, to understand and show them that we are not just what the stigma of New York City, or at least the old of New York City is about. You know, I am about the future, and I do care about the legalization of cannabis, just to make sure that the direction we all go through legally would fare well for, again, our city, you know, our greatest city in the world. So, you know, I think this is
Randy, can you answer? Sorry, just for my own clarification.
no problem.
Is the idea to convert your convenience store into a dispensary, or are you planning on just adding cannabis to your inventory?
We would do a full convert if permissible. I think that's the best way to go. We would be okay as well if we do a half basis as well, but I think a full basis conversion would benefit, again, just not ourselves, but just the city. You know, I'm just a business guy. You know, I'm here to make not just myself and Bruce money, but the city. You know, I believe in paying taxes, making sure those taxes go to the right allocation of the community and its rightful residents.
Yes, it would be a cannabis store upon conversion, but or if it's possible, we'd also like to be a gourmet wine store if that's permissible.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a business guy. We'll go wine if we're allowed, but you know, again, I am passionate about the cannabis industry. I have a lot of friends who are in the same struggles as everybody else, so I'm well aware of the ongoings of where we are as far as New York City. I just personally feel, you know, personally, to speak the truth, a little embarrassed because, you know, states such as California, Colorado, they're a decade ahead of us, and I know we're getting there. And I think we just have an opportunity to do this the right way, and this is where we're at.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Randy. So, just a comment, you know, I can say with confidence that any dispensary is not allowed to sell liquor. Also, I'm also 90% sure that you're not allowed to sell non-cannabis related products. So it would have to be a full conversion. And generally, you know, I'll save my commentary for the end. Let's turn over to, is there anyone online here to speak in favor or against, any members of the public in favor or against this applicant on West 40th Street? I see Christine's hand raised. Anyone else for West 40th Street? All right, Christine, floor is yours. Hold on, let me bring that up. No?
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh, for the applicant? No, I didn't get that part. Sorry. I did. I'm so sorry.
You want any questions first?
Yeah, I think your question. Sorry. Questions for the task force first. I apologize, guys. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Just for clarification, is it your store or the Chinese restaurant that was looking to be converted? What is
No,
that?
Wayne's Palace. Wayne's
sorry?
Palace went out of business. They COVID got the better of them. They never actually recovered. People for some reason blame Chinese people for the COVID, even though they're American citizens, and business dwindled and they had to go out of business.
Right.
So it was Chinese restaurant to convenience store. Is that correct? It's the convenience store that is there. What's currently at 304 West 20th Street.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
So there's a probation office down the block from them at 314. Put them in violation of the.
That makes sense.
No, probation office. No. Okay.
Okay.
But that is correct. We are by the probation office.
Thank you.
Christine, floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm reading from the marijuana law directly. It is a privilege and not a right to cultivate, process, distribute, and sell adult use cannabis. I've heard a lot of special pleading This particular applicant does not have the knowledge to sustain a legal cannabis store, clearly uninformed about what is involved. And I fear that there would be particularly when you see the incredibly well-prepared presentations from other folks who come with the safety plan, who don't even have to question whether or not they could sell gourmet wine at the same time. They know the answer to that. This applicant clearly, even after having been given a month to prepare and get up to speed, is still not up to speed. I urge the task force to not to approve this application for those reasons. I also will speak later about the 1,000-foot rule. I don't think you can dodge that. I think you have to have a policy in Community Board 4 with respect to the 1,000-foot rule. You need to guide OCM as to which of two applicants you would prefer to have within that 1,000-foot exclusion zone.
Okay, thank you, Christine. As we do, we'll just allow if the applicant wants to respond to anything there, and then we will move to task force.
As far as
discussion.
being not up to par here, did you not receive my site plan? Did you not receive my security plan?
You did receive your security plan. Can you tell me how you put it together? Where did this? How did you put the security plan together? Where did you what resources did you rely on?
The Small Business Administration sent me some material that I read, just like everybody else should. And Small Business Services is also helping me out, guiding me out. This is new to me as well as to you. And the whole thing is been a year, maybe two. So we're finding our way. I assure you I can run this business. I've
Convenience
been familiar
store is
with.
not the same.
Christine, not back and forth. Thank you, though.
No, I'm talking about a dispensary, a cannabis dispensary. I'm familiar with cannabis. I've been familiar with it since 1968 in Vietnam, and I was at Woodstock. That should qualify me right then and there, no? We could run this business. We could make this work. We could be an asset to the neighborhood, maybe one of the better ones. We have all kinds of plans about what to do, handling cash, handling sales. There's a new thing called remote. It's called remote ATM. And we would use that extensively where you take money right out of your debit card so that there would be less cash around to deal with. But nevertheless, the Chase Bank is only 2 doors away. Security will get us there. We have, I implore you to take a look at my site plan, my security plan. What more do you want?
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, can I just share some thoughts before a motion and then, all right. First I obviously, commend Bruce and Randy for, I know their will is sincere, and I'm sure that their desire to lead a responsible business is sincere. And I don't doubt that you would eventually, hopefully, be able to figure out the inventory, the cash handling and stuff like that. But our concerns remain just generally with your lack of, or my concerns remain, excuse me, with your lack of, knowledge about the regulations. And generally, as we said last time, we would hope in this instance, when there are people who are so new to the cannabis industry, that they would hire professional cannabis consultants, as a number of our applicants have. And I understand that you've been working with the SBA and you brought on Randy, and we appreciate that. But again, that neither of those institutions or Randy there have actual cannabis dispensary experience and knowledge. And so I think that gives us all myself a lot of concern, although I imagine I'm speaking for the majority of the task force here. If anyone disagrees with that, feel free to say so. Otherwise, a motion can be on the table. Raul?
Yeah, unlike some of the other applicants, I actually like the fact that this applicant has already an ongoing business, is successful at it, is doing what, $500,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
That's on the one hand. The other, it's a totally different animal to convert a retail store that sells, wine, beer, soft drinks and things like that to a cannabis business. It is so heavy in regulations and processes, the cash handling side of it. Very few banks are doing business with cannabis dispensaries. Accountants don't even want to work. There are very few accountants. It's a problem. It's a difficult business to get into, and I just don't see the even a little bit of knowledge about it. And without hesitate to be in favor of.
Okay, Dolores will be entertaining a motion.
Right. So first, I'd like to say, Randy and Bruce, thank you for your service to our country. And I appreciate your ambassadors for New York, and that in our community, you're already operating a successful business. Although my motion is to deny the application at this location, hopefully sometime in the future, that may change, but that's my motion, is to deny the application.
Is there a second?
Second.
I don't see why
all-
we
all
could
these-
make a go of this. I am,
Sorry,
it's a small
Bruce, we're
business.
gonna be
And most
voting now.
most small businesses fail, but we won't
We
fail.
understand, Bruce, and we want the best for you, but unfortunately, we just would need to see hiring a consultant that knows this particular industry. And again, we do advocate, and we do appreciate that Randy has the business experiences, but it's not the right type of business experience. We need the specific one. We're gonna continue the vote. There's a motion, a second. All those in favor of denying this application? Thank you, Bruce, and Randy. Good luck to you both. Yes, thank you very much for your service, of course. And we do obviously want you in this industry. We want a diverse set of individuals in this industry, but we just need to have faith that the proprietors of these types of businesses are going to run them, understanding all the intricacies of the vast regulations, and we just don't have that faith here. But again, the hiring of a consultant could change that all around. But for now, that we are denying. Thank you very much, Bruce. Randy, good luck to you both.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, the board.
Okay, number 4, it is now 8:14. 195 9th Avenue, this is on West 21st, between West 21st and 22nd Street. This is Trey Leaf, 195 LLC. If you're here to speak on behalf of Trey Leaf 195 LLC, please raise your hand. And again, we are moving into what is officially new business because these applicants have not come before us.
As Jesse just said, anybody from the applicant for 195 9th Avenue, Trey Leaf, please raise your virtual hand. There we go.
There, keep on. Amisha, if you're gonna speak on behalf of Trey Leaf, you gotta accept the promotion.
Yep.
Morning.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Awesome. Vaughn?
Yeah, we're having some trouble getting, Amisha up onto the panelists, so hopefully we can improve technical difficulties, but we're gonna move on to number 5 for now. This is 743 9th Avenue, between West 50th and 51st Street, Cannabis Company of New York. If you are here on behalf of Cannabis Company of New York, please raise your hand and Jesse Bodine will promote you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. Where are you calling from?
This is just the background, my friend. It doesn't look like that. I can turn it off and you'll see the real picture.
Good morning. I am worried that he thinks it's morning. Byron, are you the only,
I have
person
Tony
on here?
Martinez.
Oh, Tony, all right, we got him, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
All right, Beer and Tony, take it away. You got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Good, Baron, you can start. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Biren Patel. I'm one of the members of Cannabis Company of New York, along with my wife. She just happens to be putting the children to bed, but she will pop in shortly. And we have with us Tony Martinez, who's going to assist us on the operations and compliance side of the business. Tony?
Oh, good evening. I would like to say, first of all, what breaks my heart, because I'm a lifelong New Yorker, educated in New York, went to Bronx High School of Science, Fordham University, worked all my life in New York. What breaks my heart is that all of these individuals that are attempting to open dispensaries do not have a clue of what business is or what the cannabis business entails. And they're totally ignorant of the regulations. And they're being preyed upon by individuals throughout the city, throughout the state, in proposing that they pay a certain amount of money and they will get a license, that they will get approved, that they will get so forth and so on. Just to give you a little background, I used to serve on Community Board 5 in the Bronx, so I'm well aware about the community boards and the need of the community. I was also the executive director of a home care agency in the Bronx for over 20 years, and now I'm in private business. As a consultant, I also helped out individuals write their policies and procedures and their workflows for other dispensaries that are already operational. So the experience is there to do this. We would like to set up a dispensary on 9th Avenue. The state has made it so that if you do it correctly and you follow the state law, all your concerns will be addressed, from security, management of the population, overcrowding, your effect on the community, and what you would do to make sure that it doesn't negatively affect the community. There's a lot of questions that you have that I can answer regarding, for example, the signage that when I was listening, every dispensary is allowed to have 2 signs, and they are restricted on the size by OCM, and it has to be approved by OCM. However, they also have to be able to meet the local requirements, such as the city or the community boards. We have already developed workflows for deliveries. If we're going to do deliveries, we have workflows for customers coming in. We have workflows for the training of the staff. We have workflows for the deposit of the money. We already contacted a bank that will actually come and pick up the money through private security as opposed to us having to deposit it. We already contacted different point of sale system, such as Aves, to be able to do the point of sales, Dispense to be able to do the online marketing as required by the state and the limitations that we will be able to do. And our main goal is to be good community members. We will meet with each of the community agencies that will be affected and to see how best we are able to fit into the community. As a former community board member, I served on the land use committee, on the healthcare committee, and on safety. I've already contacted Anthony Miranda, who I know well, regarding the illegal cannabis, because I took a stroll on the community and I saw how many illegal are there. And I contacted him regarding the effect it is going to have on the community and the effect it's going to have on the business too. I don't know if you're quite aware, in the Lower East Side, there is Smash dispensary. They're about to go out of business. Within a 5-block radius, they have 31 illegal dispensaries and they can't compete. So even if we're going to do the dispensary there, we have to be able to take that into account. So I already had a conversation with Anthony Miranda, who is the sheriff and is the person responsible for the actual closing of these illegal dispensaries and smoke shops. We are able to submit whatever documentation you would need, the policies and procedure manuals that are already been worked on, if you need those, the workflow. That'll be done. Now, professionally, Biren has run several businesses. Right now, I'm in the consulting and commercial real estate. I've been working in business since 1981 upon graduation from college. So the experience is there for us to be able to be successful in this business.
Okay. Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Dolores, I believe, to ask you some questions, but just before that, I just want to know if, again, the lottery question, if your business is on the lottery list, and if so, what number did you receive?
I believe we received 1973. We are on the list. However, please understand that that number is not an actual number because those individuals that had the higher priority were placed 3 times on the list. There are individuals that submitted multiple applications. So once that list goes through, there won't be, the number will be less. The other thing that people don't realize, they already issued 483 licenses. And out of those 483 licenses, because of the lack of knowledge or resources, most of them cannot open up a dispensary. And that is one thing that breaks my heart because it was meant for minorities as myself to be able to succeed in a business that could be very profitable, but they weren't given the tools or the resources to do so. So a lot of these individuals that are applying, that receive licenses, unfortunately, they won't be able to accomplish opening up the dispensary or meeting the regulations and the needs of the community.
Thank you, Tony. Dolores?
My primary question was actually answered by Tony being representative here. I really was very curious, Biren, what your connection was to this particular community, how experienced you are in understanding where this is that you're trying to open. It sounds like Tony at least has already been doing outreach and looking around the community and understands, but Biren, I'd still like to hear from you. What connection at all do you have to this part of the world?
Okay. So I myself, I'm a resident, I was raised in the Bronx, educated City College, same as Tony. I know New York City well. This has been my stomping ground ever since I was born. Regards to Community Board 4, Jesse knows very well. We have a project on 38th Street between 8th and 9th that's been presented to Community Board as well for a hotel development that we kind of struggled through for almost 6 years with the help of Community Board. And at that time, the local congressman that we were able to approve We are actually in the demolition and approval phases, so I do have other business ventures in the community, so I want to continue that effort.
Laura, do you have any other questions?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, opening up the rest of the committee, Raul?
Yes, I noticed in your presentation, Tony, that you highlighted that you guys have a hemp retail license for 2 years. Can you explain what the ramifications are of that? Where are you currently operating and what all it took to get that license?
All right. The hemp license was originally when the state of New York wanted to do medical marijuana, they did hemp and CBDs. You are able to get a hemp and CBD license by applying and paying a $300 fee. In the new regulations, as a dispensary, you are able to do both cannabis and CBD and hemp if you have a hemp license. So hemp doesn't have any THC content for those individuals that do not want to use THC, but want to be able to use the hemp products for pain, sleeping, they can do so. So we are proposing to also be able to provide to the community CBD and hemp. So not necessarily everything has to be a THC content.
And you currently have a store where you sell that?
No, we don't. We were doing it online. And
Okay, so licensing online.
right. One of the recommendations that I had made to Biren was to get a CBD and hemp license so he can start developing the experience with the cannabis and with the state, with the regulations, the paying of the taxes, because it's totally different than a regular business.
Thank you.
I'm just, if we were to vote to approve or, make a recommendation of approval, would you be able to commit to getting us, I don't think we have your security plan or your floor plan. Would you be able to get that to us before our full board meeting?
I could get you a security plan. I can get you the delivery plan, whatever plan you need, the policies.
Yeah.
Everything is written up.
I think we would want all of that before our full board meeting, for sure.
Not a problem.
Can you talk a little bit about your delivery plan?
Well,
Actually, I see here that you don't, well, actually, you marked that you don't intend to operate a delivery service. Is that not accurate?
So, Tony, speaker, so initially, no, until we see that there's a demand for delivery, and if it helps mitigate the crowd control, then that's something that we're willing to implement. So I had Tony proactively design a plan, so I'm not behind the curve, so to say. So yes, we do have a delivery plan, but the intent was not to do delivery out the gate.
Okay, so we'll have to take a look at that delivery plan. Thank you. Any other questions before we open to public? All right, we're gonna open it to the public. If you're here to speak either in favor of or opposed to or have questions, if you're here to speak at all on item number 5, 743 9th Avenue, Cannabis Company of New York, please raise your hand, and Jesse Bodine, the master of ceremonies, will get you over.
Christine Gorman has her hand up, but I don't know if that was from the last time.
No, you want to speak on this? Yes, you want to speak on this.
Okay, so.
All right, Christine, take it away.
Neither for nor against, although I'm much more reassured by this presentation than I was by the last. I just had a question. Have you reached out to Steve Belita and Katie Savage, who are co-chairs of the 4954 Block Alliance, which is the block association that's right nearby there?
Yes, I did shoot them an email. The only concern the question they had was there's a salon currently, and is that the location? And I did say that the current tenant is notify the landlord of their impending depart and ultimately will come in. So that was the only concern they had.
Thank you. Milagros?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for your services. Mr. Tony and Mr. Brian and Ms. Christine. Hi, I'm a tenant above 743 9th Avenue. I was just made aware of the potential cannabis. I'm one flight up, my windows face the street. My concern is that currently there is a tenant, by the Sam and Nika Salon. They've been there for 15 years. So I wasn't aware of an issue that they were leaving until recently. That's not the issue where I'm speaking. This area is fully, and it's a very highly commercial area. Many restaurants. We have social bars open all night, which I'm not hypocritical to say that I don't enjoy eating at the restaurants or frequenting the social clubs there is, but there is quite a lot of them at night. And I used to work at JP Morgan, and I used to get home at Global Securities at 11 o'clock, and it's fully awake. I'm like one flight up. My concern is that there's loitering in I have a stoop. There's always a lot of garbage all night. I could actually literally hear conversations, arguments, laughing, joking, fights, police, whatever, you name it. I've been here for 50 years. I've been here in this building, my mother and my dad have been here for that amount of time. I'm not opposed to the legalization of marijuana or the dispensary. I'm opposed to not being aware of it and being not aware of the fact that you said there was community service, community involvement. I haven't seen it. I was made aware by a flyer that was sent to me that was copied by a tenant, the current tenant. Now, having said that, I live in a building that's a very old building with the security building, the doors, the bells, they're old, they're barely used. We don't know who's coming in, who's leaving. And like I said, I have a daughter that's 21. There's children here that are in the 20s. There's a high schooler on the corner. There's a lot. I don't know what time you guys are going to have these hours. I don't know what my Sam, who is currently the salon owner, is aware of what's been going on, because from what I heard, there's an issue between them, and I don't know what's going on there. That has to be taken care of.
Thank you, Milagros. I appreciate the comments.
Can I just comment?
Hold on. So if you could, just address loitering on the street, your hours and your outreach, please. So those are the three topics. Thank you.
Just to address Milagro.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. First of all, you have legitimate concerns as a mother, as a tenant, right? We really do not have anything to do with the building itself and the security. However, we can work together to make sure that we have security enough for not only the store, but also for the building. The loitering aspect, we will have security. We've contacted a couple of security firms, so they will be able to mitigate the amount of people in front of the store, so there will be no loitering at all. And we could include the building entrance, because I know it's right there next to it.
Yes, it is.
So we could do that. Now, we don't intend to open till late. The latest that we probably be open will be 10 p.m. on a Friday and Saturday, and normally by 8:30 or 9 during the weekdays, Monday through Thursday, the store will be closed.
There should be CCTVs if they're going to be available, but this needs to be taken, it
The other thing is that, like I said, if you follow OCM regulations, in front of the store, inside the store, everywhere, there has to be cameras. And the cameras have to be accessible by OCM themselves. So again, we could have a 360-degree camera that also incorporates the front of your building. So it increases the security of your building. I would love to sit down with you or whoever in the building. This is, you see, being part of the community, this is what you do. You sit down with the tenants and you find out where you can find common ground and how we can help each other. And you could also help us by telling us what are the needs of the building. We will have a relationship with the landlord, right? We're going to be tenants also. So we can cooperate together to be able to speak to the landlord and address those issues.
Thank you very much, Tony. I do have a quick follow-up now because of you said you're going to be open until 9:30, 10, but again, on your application to us, you've indicated 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 on Saturday, 10 to 6 on Sunday. Are those times not accurate? Do we need to update it? If the form needs to be updated?
They most likely, those were times they were put in during, but they will be updating, like Baron has said, everything depends on, as a business, you always go, what is the need, what is the community needs, what is the demand for the business? So that would be part of it too.
Okay, understood, but we usually like to get a sense of what the at least maximum hours would be. And it seems like
by regulations, we can't be open more than 70 hours during the 7 days. That's the regulation by OCM.
I thought it was that we couldn't restrict less than 70 hours for the 7 days.
You can restrict, but we can't be open past 70, and it can't be open between the hours of 1 and 8 a.m.
No, yeah, sorry. All right.
You can't ask less.
Yeah, but we don't. But
I don't know why I didn't say 70.
Let me speak on that. So right now, the initial business plan is 8 p.m. Right? And that's, pretty much where I could commit to at this moment, because that's what I see, that I wouldn't be open past that. Now, full transparency, if, like you mentioned, the neighborhood, the restaurants and everything else is open till 9, 10, I'll try to meet to a certain extent, but I do not want to go past 10 o'clock.
That's fine. It's just what we vote on is what's in the information in here. So we would ask you that if you do plan on changing your hours, to make them different from the application that you provided, that you would come back before us again to change the hours.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Or at least in terms of what you're gonna send us the security plan, if you need to send us an email.
Yeah.
Or updating us on the hours, so then when whatever our recommendations, it reflects that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry, so jumping, Anita? Sorry.
Yeah, hi,
Oh,
thank
just one
you
question.
for,
Just one question. Milagros, how can I get a hold of you?
Tony, I'll put you together with Milagros.
Thank you.
No problem.
okay.
Go ahead,
I'm
Anita.
following up on Christine's, what she was saying about the Block Association and Steve Belita. Block Association, I've attended his meetings for the past 5, if not 6 years. Steve would never write an email back and just say, I'm only concerned about a hair salon. He would invite you to attend his meeting. So after listening to Milagros, I would ask the task force to tell this applicant to go back to the Block Association and speak to his neighbors, because Steve and Katie do a fantastic job of introducing the applicant, whether it be a bar or in this case, a dispensary, and just have them do their due diligence, because it doesn't sound to me as if they've really succeeded in doing their community outreach.
Anita,
All right,
I
so that's all, folks, but thank you very much. I don't want to hold anyone up.
It was just a
Jessica,
notice.
if I could respond to that, I could certainly share the email that I received from Steve, which was on January 8th. And he says, please clarify the exact location, please, because there's a hair salon. I responded, and that was the extent, and that was almost 10 days ago. So
Great.
no other
Thank
request
you very
came
much,
from
thank you for
Steve
clarifying.
directly.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna close the public session or the public comments now. Do we, as a task force, feel like we need to discuss this?
Byron, can you unshare your screen, please?
Yes.
Sorry. Wait a minute, one more person who wants to speak.
Sandra? Are you looking to speak on this application? You need to come off mute.
Hello.
Hey, go ahead. Are you here to speak on this application?
Yeah, I'm actually a hair salon. I'm the hair salon who's actually in this building in that place right now. They said my lease is actually expired 10 days ago?
No, I reached out to the community, the block association 10 days ago.
Okay. So my lease is not expired yet. My lease is still on. And we're having an issue with my landlord regarding this lease because he physically, basically, I guess, lost my lease because when I'm asking to give me the lease, copy of the lease, he cannot present it to me. We signed the lease on 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And then he never sent me the copy of it. And basically, I've been forced to leave, which I'm trying to negotiate with my landlord. And I think you guys are mistaken. You should, Mr. Brain and Mr. Tony, you guys did a great speech here, great explanation of yours. The store. I think you're going to be successful, but I think you guys should stop by first to me next, and then ask me, how's my lease? What's going on? I'm sorry if I'm not correct with my English, and I'm trying my best.
Thanks.
We appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna respond. As a task force, we typically don't get involved in private disputes between landlords and tenants. And if there is a lease issue, obviously, you should work that out with your landlord and with
exactly. And it's not expired yet. I'm just letting you know.
It's not a factor that we can take into account when we're voting.
Thank you.
Because it's thank you very much. But we appreciate you coming all right, so for the task force now, do we feel like we need to discuss this or can we make a motion?
Can we ask the question of whether they have an executed lease?
My lease not been executed.
No, I apologize. I meant to the folks that are.
We have a letter of intent from the landlord.
What's that? A letter of intent. They have a letter of intent. So it'll be resolved, but it won't be resolved by us.
No, just to explain why the letter of intent. A lot of individuals sign leases without having received approval from OCM, received the license, and now they're stuck. And that's one of the things I advised against is first get a letter of intent from the landlord. We were unaware of the situation with the salon.
We understand that, so it'll be something that you'd have to work out again with the salon and the landlord, but again, not for us to take into account here this evening. We had a motion on the table. What was the motion?
Motion to approve.
So can it be, just to summarize, I believe a motion to approve would include the stipulations that these applicants will get us a security plan, a floor plan, a delivery plan within the next 2 weeks. I would also like to add a stipulation that they reach back out to Steve Bolita, just even though we recognize that you reached out to them, we see the evidence, but just remind them that you are coming to make sure that they are involved in this conversation. I believe there was a third stipulation about updating your hours, if you plan on updating your hours. Clarify the hours.
I would say just clarifying in terms of the outreach, I would say you're looking to attend an upcoming block association meeting.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake.
And please, I would like Milagros information. Don't forget Milagros information.
No, I won't forget, Tony.
Yeah, great. So that is a motion with those stipulations, as I understand it. And if that is the motion, is there a second? We got a second from Dolores. All those in favor of approving this location? Excellent. None opposed, none abstained, none present, not eligible. Congratulations, Pat. Good luck in the lottery and moving forward. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
8:45. We are over. Do we want to go back or forward?
We can check going back.
Let's try going back. 195 9th Avenue, Trey Leaf 195. If you're here with us, try again to present. We are halfway through.
They're on. They just need to unmute. They're on.
Great. Anyone else? A more than halfway through the celebratory donut? Anybody? There we go.
Save one for me, Jesse.
Delivery. Are they? 195 Ninth Avenue, or you?
Yeah, it's the Patel, I think, the last.
Yeah.
Keep coming in and leaving.
No, they're here, but they need to.
They're here, they're just muted.
Yeah. Misha, you have to unmute.
Who's on applications?
Namisha, can you hear us?
Have you had your donut? Not yet. Okay, now I don't have a donut.
Namisha, it seems like she's struggling again. So we're gonna move on. Sorry, Namisha. We'll come back to you again. We'll try again. We're gonna move ahead now. Item number 6, 862 9th Avenue between West 55th and 56th Street. This is Cannadreams Inc. Item number 6. If you're here to speak on Cannadreams, please raise your hand if we're going over.
Hey, how's my name is G-Lin, you can call me Jerry.
Okay, okay. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So yeah, a little background about myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I started 5 businesses, retail businesses, both of them in a new, infancy stage of the industry, which are vape shops, like electronic cigarette stores, and CBD hemp stores. So we already been in the market before the whole green rush. I established my first business, King Kong Vape, in Westchester, White Plains, New York, in 2016. And I got into the CBD industry in 2018, which both are governed by the New York State, basically for the electronic e-cigarette store license, and also as well as the hemp CBD store license.
You'd like to talk more about your particular proposal for this location?
Oh, yes. So basically, I'm the sole applicant. I'm the investor, business guy, I guess you could call it, for 862 9th Avenue. So currently, right now, the space is leased to Barbara Lowe's. So basically, I'm trying to establish a licensed cannabis dispensary in the space. So basically right now they're on a month-to-month lease, and I'm aware that there's another space that's been approved by MCB4. So basically I submitted my application, and MOCN granted me the rights to the area within the 1,000 feet rule, just because I received an email to the opposition from, I think, West 55th Street Block Association as well. I'm not sure who. I think I know who it is, but I'm on the Zoom with my iPhone right now, so I can't really dig into it. I think it was something Garden. So she basically informed me that, there's another licensed dispensary opening in that space as well. So I'm basically excluded from the 1,000 feet ruling. But the whole thing is that basically, OCM, selected me in the whole process of this.
What he's saying is that for reasons that are still unclear to Jesse Bodine and I, we're trying to figure this out, but he was actually already awarded proximity protection for his location, even though he has. Sir, what type of have you received a provisional license from OCM already?
Yes, I've been licensed since April of 2023, and I actually sent Jesse Bodine the updated license, proximity protection, to him yesterday.
Yeah.
He actually responded to the chain link from, I think, I forgot the name, but something Gardine through West 55th Street Block Association. I actually replied to him, thanking him for, basically speaking up and clarifying the facts of the email.
We're double checking if we're inside or outside the 30 days. If we would have asked for an extra 30 days, but hope, as we remember, these applicants can get awarded a provisional license before they notify us, or in tandem with notifying us as per the updated rules. So, but it's all very confusing. but OCM did award him proximity protection, which is, you know, we're outside of there. So, you know, we're outside our notice period, which means that technically OCM does not need to consider our advisory opinion. That said, we should still make one. But, well, you know, we should note that whatever we say probably will not carry as much weight as it otherwise would. What else do I want to say? I mean, we were trying to get more clarification on this 1,000 foot, this proximity protection thing. It seems, you know, not quite clear if it's a first come first served thing, which it doesn't seem to be, or how it works. But this applicant did apply, did receive it, and so you know, that's just the information we have. So I'm going to turn it over to whose application is it? All right, Raul, if you want to.
So, this is an interesting location because it's on the corner, that's at the corner of 9th Avenue and 56th Street. So, it also includes a consumption, license. And from my understanding, they're gonna use the basement, the street level for retail and the basement for consumption with a maximum of 20 persons. Is that correct, Jerry? 20 persons?
Yes, correct, yes.
in the basement?
Valid.
So, there have been, at least the last time I checked Dropbox, there were 3 letters in opposition. I'm not sure if any of those persons are here. One of the letters was really interesting because it included measurements in terms of distances to churches, to schools and all that. And I checked all those out. And they all seem to be well within what's allowed by the regulations, except for one of them. They called it, the person who wrote, they called it the AHRC Early Learning Center. When I looked it up in Google, they actually identified themselves as the Esther Ashkenaz Central Park Early Learning Center. And that was within 800, it was about 800 feet from the location of the store on 56th Street, not on 9th Avenue, but on 56th Street.
Does that impact the regulation?
Isn't that, it's only 500 feet from a school?
From a school, isn't it 1,000 or is it?
It's 500.
Oh,
And it also has to be a
500. Okay,
space
so
for the
then-
entire school.
Then there are no issues in terms of the distances. Because that was the only one that I had a question about.
Okay, yeah, no problems, because I actually sent Jesse Bodine, I received actually a proximity protection, which is when OCM grants you provisional approval of the location. So if I could speak on the matter of 867 9th Avenue, the one with the black fence. So basically, I think the
That's
guy's name is
across,
Don Furlow.
that's diagonal.
Correct.
Harry, hold on 1 second, Jared.
Yeah.
Raul,
So 867 is diagonally across from this location, and that applicant came before us back in October, I believe.
Yeah.
We approved them, the full board ratified in November. I called him, Don Furlow, I believe is his name, and asked him if he was still moving forward with his application. He said yes, that he was. Now, this is about maybe 2-3 days ago. And then I heard something else from somebody else that is not the case, that the investor has pulled out. So I don't know the situation, but anyways, it is within the 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, I spoke with Don today, just
Oh, did
because
you?
I
Okay.
wanted to confirm everything that we're hearing about the, protection. He does not have the same protection. He has gone through a period where he did lose the investor. And that's, because of the whole of the injunction. I mean, he got stuck with like so many other people. He was ready to go and then he got stuck and then, people move on, people want their money back. Yeah, and so he is continuing on with his application. He has been informed about Jerry's situation, so he knows that he is gonna reach out to licensing to confirm what his status is. But it's clear that Jerry has the protection, the proximity protection.
Raul, do you have any other additional questions for the
The
applicant?
only thing is, I would like to have a better understanding of how he's going to use the consumption side, how he's gonna use that basement and the number of rent. I think this is the first application I've heard of where somebody's gonna actually have usage in the store. So Jerry?
Yeah.
If you could.
Hey,
expand
so
on that.
yeah, basically I'm trying to utilize the basement since it's already built as a lounge from bar for Lowe's. So basically, it's about, let's say, like roughly 1,500 square feet. So I'm trying to like utilize that as like a VIP membership privilege. So basically it won't be accessible to like every other customer. So, like you have to have like a VIP membership. I'm not sure about the exact details yet, but I'll give you a general perspective. So basically it'll be for the VIP customers who, sign up for our membership. So it'd be about maybe like 20 people maximum. I'm not sure yet exactly the full details. I gotta look into the fire department, occupancy like codes and whatnot, but that's just something off of my just off of my like brainstorming, talking to my consultants, my partners and stuff like that. So basically it'll be maximum of 20 people allowed in the space at one moment for a maximum of 1 hour per person. And then they say if they're not VIP member, then they will have to pay maybe like a surcharge of $10 to gain access to it. So the reason why we implement this is to minimize the occupancy and the body count of the space and whatnot. But the thing is that I can't really give you like a full like rundown of how it will be just because the OCM haven't given us the regulations and the clear, guidance on how to operate that as we speak.
Jared, to be clear, right, it's a separate license. You would need another license for the consumption, correct?
Somewhat, yes, but for all car licensees, that's in the whole package. Basically, you get the retail dispensary license along with, consumption as well. But the thing is that, OCM has a lot of work to do in front of us. So I can't really speak on something that I'm not sure as well. You know what I mean? I don't want to mislead anybody.
We're gonna want, we hear that and I'm not sure that that's, I believe that could be accurate. That the regulations as I read them look like they require an additional license. So I don't know how that makes any sense, but how about this, Jared? Regardless, if we move ahead to approve your application, would you stipulate to coming back to us before you attempt to open up a consumption lounge?
Of course.
Great, okay. Do we have other questions from the task force?
Yeah, staying on the basement. What was the basement used previously? Does anybody know?
So basically, it's set up as a lounge, but I think it was only set up as like an event space. So basically, let's say if there are Barbaros is only in like, like special events, it'll be accessible. Because I went there as a customer, and the basement access was kind of restricted. Basically, they have these two gates locked up. You know what I mean? So I asked the bartender there, and he told me that you basically have to, come here on a day where there's an event to gain access to it.
So if I can have some clarity to that, it's a bar, it's Bar Veloce, and they rent the space now for special events.
So there's a separate access?
No, it's the same. It's the same main actress, but once you enter the space, you go to the right, and there's like a little staircase going downstairs. But the thing is that it's not like a full blown entrance. It's only like I forgot the guy's name, but the guy speaking on it, he said that it's only when it's an event space as well. Yes.
So there's no access to the street from the basement. You have to come back up.
Correct.
In case of an emergency, you have to come up from the stairs. And you said you're using the ventilation system that's already in place?
So right now I haven't really checked out the full scope of everything, but I have a friend who does HVAC and whatnot, but we're gonna make sure that well ventilated in case, you know, when we get there. This is just like a future plan, you know what I mean? So basically, there's an ingress from the basement to the street as well. So there's two separate entrances to the location, but we're gonna make sure that, you know, the consumption on site wouldn't bother the residents, the tenants, the passengers, or anybody in the neighborhood.
Let me ask you one last question. Any thoughts about having somebody on staff during those hours that's familiar with, God forbid somebody has a reaction to what they're using before?
No, of course. I mean, we're
EMT
definitely gonna have, like, you know, trained personnel such as a security guard downstairs, but we're not gonna like make it like a everyday thing. That's why we're implementing like a VIP membership only, so we can limit the access. We don't want everybody who comes in to spend like $20-$30 to gain access to that. You know, we don't want to be babysitting anybody. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to introduce ourselves to the neighborhood and kind of give them a vibe that they could enjoy and whatnot.
No, I understand. My concern is with the users down there in case somebody goes into distress.
But again, I'm hoping that this conversation will now take place at a later date, because he would agree that before any consumption occurs on, that he would come back in front of us.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we're prepared to, there are no regulations around like on-site consumption, so I have no basis to, I mean, like, no, I appreciate that, like the common sense questions, but yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I question just that, sir, you didn't provide us a site plan for your business. Would you be able to do that in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you could just email me everything you need. I try to be very transparent, you know what I mean? Because basically I have like, you know, business experience in new industries. I have a vape shop, which is very different from a smoke shop. I've been in the business since 2016. And then I got into
it's just, you know, it's something that we asked on our application and you didn't fill it out, so I am asking you now, not emailing you, I'm just gonna ask you, please, you know, if we move ahead with your application, please provide us a site plan in the next couple of weeks, all right?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. And if there's no other questions from the task force, we're gonna open up to the public. If there are public, if you're here to speak on this applicant, Cannadreams, which is 862 9th Avenue, item number 6 on our agenda, please raise your hand and we will love to hear from you. Go ahead, Christine.
Okay, so am I to understand you already have 1,000-foot license protection at this site?
Yes, correct. So basically, what transpired is the whole thing is that there's like a big complication. There was a lawsuit during the whole licensing period. So the guy Don Resources, which is Don Furlow, he basically initially, I'm assuming just because I myself went through the whole process as well, that he submitted a letter of intent, which is just a contract between the landlord and the broker and himself that he's going to rent the space. So basically during the whole lawsuit, I'm aware because I watched the community board notice where he actually presented himself with his location to the board, you know? So basically he already got approved for the location, right? So more or less during the whole lawsuit, I heard from his broker, which is Azul something. She's actually the landlord for the broker for the space. She mentioned to me that his investor backed out during the whole lawsuit period, which is from, I'll say, August to October, if I'm not mistaken. And then the thing is that when I came across the space at A62, it was a off-market type of real estate deal. So my broker, he found me the space, and then basically I went through the all, you know, paperwork and whatnot to apply for it. So basically the Office of Cannabis Management wanted us to submit an actual executed lease by December 18th to see whoever, you know, whichever car licensee gets proximity protection of the space at that time. So I guess Don Furlow, which is Don Resources, he didn't submit the lease in time. So I gained the control over that 1,000 feet, if that answers any question. or
Okay, so that's the first question. I don't understand then why there's any input from CB4 if OCM can grant something ahead of guidance from CB4. But I will go on to the next step. The next, there is a liquor store at 860 9th Avenue. And as you know, liquor stores are not allowed to be within 500 feet of each other, according to the New York State Liquor Authority. So this is something, once again, I think CB4 should be promulgating rules that cannabis shops should not be within 500 feet of liquor stores if liquor stores can't be. Once again, no special pleading. If cannabis is just like liquor, then there should be similar rules. My third point is you're right across the street from Ballsy Park. There are a lot of migrant children who use that park from the nearby shelter at the Watson Hotel, the emergency center there. And I want to be reassured that you have in place and be very clear, because we've had some very good presentations, very clear presentations from other people who tell us, for example, the Tony Martinez, who tell us, you know, chapter and verse, what the regulations are, how they're going to work with the neighborhood. I have not heard anything approaching the level of his presentation from you, and I'm very concerned about your very whatnot, to use your terms, presentation. I haven't heard anything about hours. I haven't heard about security. I haven't heard about making sure that the children across the street in Ballsy Park are not impacted by sale to minors, or somebody going in and doing a straw buy and then taking the pot over to Ballsy Park to give it to underage kids.
No, of course. I mean, that situation happened arise. You're the first person to bring this up. So basically, I can answer that question directly to you. So we will have, trained security staff to check ID once they enter the premises. And they say if, the customer line gets, surpassed maybe like 20 customers, we will have them lined up on the West 56th Street side of the block, just to make sure that there's no like pestering to the customers or the other business owners as well.
So the whole thing is, Street is where Ballsy Park is. You're telling me that you would have the customers line up on the side where the park is. I think it behooves Community Board 4 to have rules that you set up, and you tell OCM that here locally, we do not want licensed cannabis stores across the street from a park where children are, where it cannot be controlled, that there would be straw buyers basically giving it away to or purchasing for children. 1, 2, there's a liquor store 2 doors down. Well,
no, I'm very aware of your concerns, Christine. I think you're the one that actually sent me an email to my notification to the block associations and actually the bid. So my whole thing is that I'm trying to work with the community and the neighborhood to, support kind of like, taking care of and tackling this whole concern of illegal smoke shops. I'm sure with them, they don't really give like a concern. I'm trying to actually do this the right way and trying to actually help to community and support the LGBT community as well.
I understand.
Jerry,
you're not presenting into the same level of what we have heard.
Christine, I agree that maybe the presentation, I should just say that, he did also fill out an application that has considerably more detail than he shared this evening online. So that does provide us some comfort. Also, Jerry, that just to also confirm your ID checks, you'll have a secondary ID check upon purchase, right? Not just at the door, but also upon sales.
Yeah. Yes.
Correct. Okay. I do think that
and what about the guidance that CB4 should give to OCM? Because I know that upstate New York, local municipalities are promulgating rules asking that that OCM not approve licenses across from playgrounds where kids are or within 500 feet of liquor stores. Why is?
But the thing, Christine, to answer your
That is
thing.
not, no, that's something for CB4.
And it's also, so it's important directed at us and not at the applicant, so the applicant doesn't need to respond to that.
No,
Anita,
I'm saying it's fine. I can have a quick comment. So basically, the guidance for New York City, it's in a lower distance versus upstate New York, somewhere where the suburban is, just because I'm very well aware of this. And I actually talked to a lot of license holders that are caught as well in Long Island and upstate New York. So the whole, even the 1,000 feet rule, it doesn't apply to dispensaries that are in upstate New York, just because the population and whatnot is definitely below the meets and the needs of New York City.
it is true. There are already additional regulations for New York City dispensaries that are not in place elsewhere. That is the point. Anita.
Yes, Christine Gorman does a fantastic job with her 55th Street Block Association. And I do remember us speaking about this. And I'm disappointed that even though Christine reached out to you, I mean, I know you sent, I received the same email as Christine did, and she was kind enough to respond to you. But you didn't even ask her, can I meet with your block association? Can I find out, what the needs, the wants, the desires, the complaints are of the neighborhood? And I do not like, I live in the Park Vendome, which is across the street. We have a new tenant in the building, a school called the Learning Experience. The door is probably 300 feet from the entrance to Barveloce. And I just want to add that the subspace, the cellar space it was sort of a wine grotto. It has a very low ceiling, so I doubt there's any sort of ventilation down there. I don't know. And Fred, the old owner, used that space for private wine and cheese parties. So no, it wasn't open to the public. It had to be privately booked.
Anita, can you speak to that? What school do you say is opened, or what is
Learning
that
Experience, Learning Experience.
Is that actually, is it a school? Is it an after school care? Is it a?
It's a preschool care. It's not a daycare, it's a school, it's a preschool.
Does it occupy the entire building, or is it just one floor of the
No,
building?
it occupies about 10,000 square feet.
And when did they set up shop there?
They took possession December 1. If you go there, even if you Google it, you'll see the entrance on
I
Google.
can answer a question to my knowledge. So basically, if you're familiar with the Housing Works one location in like downtown, basically by Astor Place. So if it's on the same block, but if it's around a corner, it's up to OCM, Office of Cannabis Management Guidance. So
but you have a back door that puts
I know, I understand
that
what
puts
you're
the
saying.
space even
Anita,
closer to the school.
Anita,
So again,
what you're saying?
Again, the regulations are within 500 feet and on the same road is the regulation. So
Exactly.
it's from front door to front door. Well, I'm trying to, I just want to clarify for everyone. So yes, I am looking at the map right now. It appears that the learning experience is around the corner from this proposed location, so it would not be in violation of OCM regulations.
And the regulations.
Yes, I'm very aware of your concern.
The entire building for you to be in violation. It can't just be part of the building.
Good catch. No, interesting. All right, Dolores, we are ready for you.
So I appreciate, Jerry, you clearly are a very successful businessman, and I appreciate that you are building your businesses and you're moving on. What I'm hearing though, however, is you understand the regulation and you are very specific and very exact, and you're probably very correct. However, some of this is sometimes just semantics. If people are concerned about kids in the area, a park, etc., perhaps the location is not one that's fitting for the community. So I just wanted to say that I'm a little concerned that the outreach to the community surrounding has been just the emails, and not trying to figure out how to mitigate some of these deeper concerns.
Yeah,
I mean, yes,
so.
of course. I mean, I'm trying to
Okay,
like
let's
make amendments. Okay, you
So-
guys. Go.
Yeah, so Dolores, the only thing I would say is, we did approve a location, right there as well, and so, so meaning.
Full liquor.
Well, no, we approved a dispensary now.
I see.
Understood. However, there was a very clear presentation around how they would want to communicate with the community. And that was very clear and that was different. Also, the main difference here with this location is also the potential for the lounge. That is something that I think was not presented with the other application. That was strictly a retail business. It was very clear to understand how they would operate in terms of creating a business plan. You seem very savvy, and it seems that what you're doing is you understand that these are moving targets and that you have to build it out. That's, I think, what the difference here is there was something that was very clearly stated for a very limited type of business. You have the potential for expanding, and I think that that's a concern.
No, I just want to make sure everybody, is happy with me joining the neighborhood and whatnot. I'm just trying to educate everybody, and I'm trying to work with everybody else who has concerns. That's my main objective of showing up to this board meeting. I want, to support the feedback, the concerns, everything. I'm here trying to be part of the community. I ran a lot of successful businesses. I don't want to kind of, embark into this. I respect everybody from Christine to Anita to you, Dolis, to, everybody else. I'm just trying to get some feedback to know what I need to do and what I should implement to make sure everybody else is satisfied. So, I could run my business. I have like 2 young children of myself. One is 9 months, one is 9 years old.
So we're gonna move to task force discussion now. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christine and Anita, as always. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just want to comment on the park. I walk by that park every day when I commute to work. I didn't even know it was a park. It's really like a square. It's like a square with some trees. It's concrete. It's not a playground. It's not a park.
I resent you dissing that part because we have worked so hard to get that worked and no. You do not get to diss Ballsy Park. You do not.
Christine, he gets to share what his opinions are. He gets to share what his opinions are.
So you learn this, Nate Sherman, you feel me?
Jerry, go on you.
The concern about a park, it's not a lovely place, but that is specifically a place where children, I guess, probably not young children, particularly teens, might hang out and would be tempted by this.
Have you been to the children's part of the park?
Christine, you have to be able to let people speak. If you're not comfortable doing that, I can take you off the meeting, if that's preferable.
All right. So I'm not dismissing these values of space, but I do not think it's particularly like a locus of teenagers or young people who would be tempted by a dispensary. That was just a comment I wanted to make on the physical location. Also, it is a bar, so it has a sort of a vice establishment there. We've been helpful with that in the past.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Well, just to slightly counter that, even in the discussion that we had regarding the earlier applicant, it was brought to our attention that young kids do hang out at the park and sort of sit there and kind of linger in the open space.
It's like
meditating. But again, right. So I'm just repeating what was brought up. It did come up in the meeting that young kids actually come over to the park.
So I think my 2 things are, one, I do have an additional concern about the potential of the consumption lounge there, and especially in relation to a park, if there are teenagers or younger people who are hanging out, or at least they're trying, seems like Christine is trying to create an atmosphere where that's the case, where there are a lot of younger people there. So I do want to just, very much stress to our applicant that he is absolutely not allowed to touch his basement and I don't think by the law, I don't think by the regulations, he's not allowed to have a consumption lounge until he has another license. I'm almost positive that's true, but he would absolutely commit to coming back to us, because that does concern me. You know, I wouldn't want to create a lounge atmosphere necessarily directly across the street from a park. That is concerning. But two, the notice issue, the lack of engagement with the block associations, even if he sent emails, the fact that they feel like they haven't been engaged and talked to is also concerning. And, you know, I would want him to, you know, to certainly reach out to the learning experience to let them know that he's coming. And so those are my concerns. Again, you know, he's pretty far in the process. The window for us to comment on this one is closed, because for us, it's been a moving target of when notice was due. And unfortunately, we may have slept on this one. I mean, it happens. You know, regardless of what we say, it is likely that this applicant is moving forward. So I do think it is an opportunity for us to get certain stipulations from him on record in public. And he does seem willing to work with us. It does seem willing to be engaged. And again, his application was relatively thorough, other than a site plan, which he says he would get to us. So, does he have a number? What do you mean? What's your number in the queue?
In the OCM.
So you're a card applicant, so you don't have one, right? You're already good. He already
Yeah,
has his- he already has
my
his
license
list.
number is
Yeah. No, we don't need your license number. We don't need your license number.
Okay, all right.
So again, if we were to proceed with any motion, the stipulations that I would have are, first, I would probably also want to limit hours a little bit more at this location. His proposed hours are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday. You know, maybe till 9 p.m. or something on the weekdays, just to see
What
how
hours
it
do we
goes.
typically, I mean, what hours do we typically add for applicants? I mean, just do we have a?
We don't have a standard. We don't have a standard yet.
People have said 12 and we've said.
We don't have a
fine,
standard
no
yet,
comments.
but again, you know.
About 10 o'clock.
Was that?
I think 10 o'clock is on the.
Okay, so 10 o'clock. Okay, great. So what we have though is I'm agreeing to not use the basement, to come back to us before any use of the basement, to I'm hoping he's listening. Jerry, you listening?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yes.
So what we're talking about right now is not using the basement until you come back to us and show that you're, you know, going to reapply to OCM for that space, but you're certainly not going to touch that space until you come back to us. Two, you're going to do further outreach to the community, talk to the board, to the block associations, reach out to the learning center, the learning experience, excuse me, and make sure that they know that you're coming. And, you know, I want you to, you know, you're going to hear them if they have any concerns about ways that you can operate your front space to make it less enticing or not, I mean, it's preschoolers, but just to make sure that they know you're there and that you'll operate responsibly. And the third, the site plan, you'll get us a site plan in the next couple of weeks. Is there anything else that we would want?
Come back to present to the task force?
Well, again, he could get he could literally be finalized the license in the next week. Like we got to move on this. So if there any other, Dolores, do we have anything else or?
I'm not making the motion, so I have no comment there.
Okay, what Jesse?
As I said, we actually did get our 30-day extension, but it's still passed.
We still have that, yeah. These things happen, all right, well, is there a motion? I mean, I understand that this also, the task force could be, this could be torn. There may be those who would rather move to deny, and maybe Dolores is one of them, but I really don't know what to do. I am torn because I think that that this is an application that's, I mean, the fact that he already got proximity protection is, you know, means that our role at this point is probably relatively limited. So I'm not sure what to do here, but
do we have?
But to engage with the applicant?
yeah, no, that's
Can
why
we
I'm
just-
thinking we get what we
Can
can.
we just write like a letter stating or like, this raises the issue of consumption lounges. We would love to know what the regulations are and they should, and like, in this, and because of the particular applicant, we think that whatever you do in the
Yes.
retail, you should require.
We would
stuff
also,
like-
you know, and also the letter should include something about like, you've got to, proximity protection shouldn't be going to applicants that haven't, or we haven't weighed in yet, at least, although again, we missed it, but
it sounds like it went to them well before
Yeah,
we even
yeah,
got our notice too.
right, that's a good point, right, if he applied for proximity
No,
protection
we
before they
couldn't.
applied, yeah, they gave us notice, so that's gotta change, I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know, how are people feeling on this, I'm torn.
I'm also torn. I think the consumption, not to continue that conversation, that's my biggest concern. I think I'm inclined to treat this a bit like we treat some things on DLP, which is we have a bit more leverage with expressing our concerns and our stipulations and wanting to establish a close, relationship with the applicant versus an outright denial, particularly because seems like a pretty much a done deal. So I'm inclined to say this is, it's a done deal. And he's agreeing to some of the macro concerns that we have, which includes coming back and continuing to be in dialogue with us around our major concern, which is the consumption piece. So I'm torn, but I'm inclined to approve because of that.
I also would say there are just the other things, but just from the questions that people have asked and his answers, which I don't know as much, I like, he does know this industry, he's learned that he knows the regulations, and that gives me some comfort, that he'll be running a business, abiding by those regulations. Is there?
What I would think may be what I'm hearing from everybody is the consumption lounge is the issue that we're sticking on. We recognize that even with the license already being, protected, there is an opportunity for us to deny the consumption lounge. So that's something, because again, without having that plan, without knowing how that would work, what the rules are, et cetera, and then talk about the other stipulations. That's the only thing that I think that makes sense. That sounds like what most of the committee has a concern about, is that no one is prepared to be approving a consumption lounge at this point in time.
So to say that, to make the letter separate, so like divide into two parts and say, here are our stipulations about the adult use dispensary. But we are at this point, we would recommend denial of any consumption lounge license or use of consumption lounge until the applicant comes back before us.
But the
And
assumption is
OCM
that-
explains the rules.
And OCM publishes the regulations, like he cannot move forward with a consumption lounge until there are actually regulations about how consumption lounges should work.
The assumption that you have is that it's two separate licenses. I don't think it is. I think it's one.
It's really
So
unfair.
basically, if I could speak,
I very strongly think they should.
Yes, Derek.
if I
Jerry,
could speak.
what is your understanding of the consumption? I am curious. What's your understanding?
So basically, for all car licenses, is in the MRTA that we have the right to retail and also a consumption lounge, and of course, as well as
But the MRTA is
delivery.
the MRTA is the law, not the regulation that,
I mean, that's fair, if it says it in the law, and then.
No, but the right to doesn't mean that you can't, the right to means though that you still have to get a license for both, like the right to do something is not. So I'm not sure, Jerry.
Basically, we're eligible for delivery consumption, as opposed to the general application. That's to my knowledge and what my attorney explained to me,
Okay, who's your attorney?
Ken Slagerson.
Yeah, of course.
I'm pretty sure that
Where is
he
Ken?
did the
Ken not
community
on?
board meetings as well. I didn't just happen to join just because he'll actually charge me more, just for this service. And I feel like I'm pretty confident myself to kind of explain everything to you.
I think you would.
Like we said, you're a very savvy businessman.
You are
and very
savvy
smart.
businessman.
I'm not being a lawyer.
But Ken is pretty good too. We like Ken, so I'm not sure which way to go on that one, but okay, understood your judgment call there. All right, what is the motion? And let's vote. Motion, yeah.
I guess, I think what I'm hearing is motion to approve with conditions for the retail, and we can add a list of conditions. I want to put it out there, do we have any, but I'll finish and then people can add conditions they want for the approve with conditions for the retail. And then, deny for the consumption lounge, with a note about, it is not a like, we never want consumption lounge, they're ever denied, this is we need to understand the regulations, and then the applicant needs to come back to us, and discuss further before we consider approving it.
And the conditions that we discussed again are a security plan, outreach to community, and,
The site plan.
the site plan, outreach to
Yeah,
community.
the third one.
There is, that's like, it's up to
The preschool, outreach to the preschool.
Not security plan, sorry, site plan.
And the preschool.
And the preschool, right. Okay, so that's the motion.
Shouldn't it let it be just on the retail only?
Yeah, but we're gonna include just to say, he's also coming for us asking for
And
this.
not to say deny on consumption already, but does not involve until further notice, until further explanation, until further regulations.
That is,
are-
well, that is kind of what we're saying.
Not to say it's denied. We don't know yet whether.
I think it's just, we want to be clear
We just
that we
want-
are only approving,
Yeah.
super clear because it's so
It's so
nebulous,
confusing
like,
that we want to make
only
sure.
approving this.
This
one.
case is different because the applicant has expressed, in a good way, they've been honest and upfront with us and expressed that they have an interest in at
Yeah.
some point having a consumption lounge. They've been totally upfront about that. And have expressed that that's gonna be something they are either already actively trying to apply for or going to. And they do have that space in the building, like it's very logical for them to do that in this space.
I agree with Wendy. It does need to be separate, and I think how we can do that is specifically, as you already indicated, Sanford, is approval of the retail space, but not in favor of the concept at this time of consumption
Okay.
lounge without clarification of actual the regulation. Additionally, not understanding the actual plans that this operator may want to put in place.
I like that, like, not in favor of it.
That's the motion. Is there a second on that motion? All those in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. We're up. All right, anyone opposed? Would be clear? Seeing no opposed. President Oswald, okay. Motion passes. Jerry, you have a vote of advising OCM, recommending approval with these stipulations. Please get us your site plan and please do the outreach in the next couple of weeks. All right, Jerry?
And
Okay,
to be
thank you,
clear,
guys.
Chairman, what we're asking again is that you are requesting to come to the attended block association meetings.
Yeah.
That is what when we say outreach, we don't just mean an email, we mean that you're asking to go to the West 55th Street Block Association and any other block associations in the area. Obviously, Anita, if there's something you would like for them to go to, please let them know and we'll make that happen.
I just
Again,
have one thing. Is there any way you guys could send me this in the email just so, like, I make sure I tackle every issue and concern so I could get this right?
Well, we can do that, but we do also recommend this is not recorded live on YouTube, sir, so you can always go back and watch.
Can I just bring up one thing that wasn't discussed about this space? There's a window on 56th Street that was installed by Bar Veloce so that it could be opened and could actually sell liquor through the window. That is
Anita,
something.
I'll answer that concern. So just for safety reasons with the OCM, I don't think they will allow us to do that. So we might even be locking up or changing the door just so you don't have that concern. Just because that's a concern of mine as well, we don't feel safe operating like that. So don't worry, Anita.
Great, thank you very much. And yes, that is correct, the OCM regulations.
Just a quick
require-
note, with apologies, I just got an email from someone who's been trying to raise their hand, Susan Emile. She also asked that we can include that he agrees to comply with any future New York City regulations or community board guidance on the retail consumption lounge policies, which I think essentially is what we're asking.
I think we got it. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much, Christine and Anita, as always. Okay, we are, it's 9:35, 2 more to go. That's it, we get out before 11 for me. Let's see, we do 10, let's work.
Now it's time for the second deadline.
You think that's what happens? Yes. Even those jinxes.
All right, knock that away.
Only one is, okay, great. We are moving, we gonna try back again or go forward?
Let's keep forward.
Yeah, all right, we're okay. Number 7, 621 West 46th Street, AMAA Venture LLC. between 11th and 12th Avenue. If you're here to present on AMAA, please raise your hand. And who is our person for this?
I'm the person there. Aren't you these jelly donuts?
There are no jelly donuts. They were out of jelly donuts. Am I lying? No, I just didn't see any jelly donuts. I presume I like to be transparent in my community. I do your cast members. Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I have a duty of candor.
All right, Alex, you just need to come off mute and we'll start your camera. There we go.
Good evening, everybody. Alex Pia, I'm an attorney at Rivkin Radler representing AMAA Ventures and its principal who's here with me. I'm not sure if she's figured out how to connect, but Ariel Tuminello is our entrepreneur looking to open a micro business, not a retail only facility such as every other applicant here today. And there are pretty distinct differences. I don't know if the board has come across any of those yet.
We have, sorry, and I should have, I didn't realize my mistake that we had a micro business. I'll let you explain, but yes, we have, and we've approved one already.
So as far as the queue question goes, they've merged the two in the list, but they're actually separate queues, and there's Ariel with me right now. I believe she's just a couple blocks from you. She lives on 42nd Street with her family. She's been a member of the community. I'll field all the questions related to the premises and the operations, but I'm sure she's happy to answer any questions about herself and her, affiliation with all the other members here. We're number 1154, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the retail queue, but we're number 228 in the micro business queue. So there's a very strong likelihood we're going to get a license approved. For those who don't know, the way the MRTA set up the chain of cannabis sales is there are 4 types of licenses. There are cultivators, processors, distributors, then retailers. There is one additional type of license that allows you to do all 4, which is really geared towards small business owners looking to make small craft brands that allows them to fulfill all the steps in the chain, open up a retail location, as well as sell their products to other retail facilities. The goal here is this is primarily a cultivation and processing facility. There will be a small retail operation that likely won't have the same hours and won't be a full-time store. It may be something along the lines of special events, specific hours, but the goal is to really just have brand recognition and somewhere to have a one-stop shop. As far as the licensing goes here, there's 2 aspects to this license. One is the grow/processor/distribution. That does not require community board input. So if this applicant is awarded a license, they'll be able to do those parts of the business without community board inspection, comment, etc. The last part of the license is that they can run a retail facility. If for some reason the board didn't approve their retail facility here, we'd be welcome to open it somewhere else in New York City. So if you guys don't get it, somebody else in Manhattan will. It would be limited to the county, so that'd be Manhattan. I don't believe we've been informed of any opposition letters to this, but I obviously want to hear about that. But I think this is pretty much an ideal location for this type of facility. We're at the edge of the community board, and if the community board strategically trying to approve locations, having one at the edge sets a proximity that isn't going to allow any dispensaries for that entire half radius, because half the radius is actually in the river. So just that being said, by having a facility on this edge of town, it already limits a huge portion of what community board will have to deal with in the future. And this is going to be a facility that doesn't have the foot traffic.
That is very enticing, but Alex, can you just talk more though specifically about this applicant and business experience and use of the space? I mean, I have to say your application
Use of the space will be
very sparse.
There's 3, well, exactly, because this is going to be primarily a cultivation facility. So things like hours and set forth aren't set in stone yet. There's 3 floors, including the basement. Those are going to be separated for different aspects of the processing and cultivation, and there'll be a very minimal footprint for a retail space, not even necessarily on the ground level. But again, we have not done layouts, we've only done feasibility testing, and we haven't paid for test kits because we would have to revamp this building if approved for the cultivation, not necessarily the retail. The retail might come months, many months after the cultivation facility, which takes time to build out. So again, this is an extremely preliminary step for this applicant. There's no point in spending hundreds of thousands of dollars laying out the facility or hiring contractors to build out the difference in the facility before we get a license, which should happen, frankly, in the next couple of weeks. So I understand the board's frustration and that you guys are moving much quicker than OCM is, but that's just the cards we're dealt here. There's no ability to spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out a layout to present to the board when we don't know if we have a license yet.
Understood. Okay, so how about the applicant, or maybe Ari wants to speak on herself? Can we get a little bit about your history, your experience, why you're going into this space? I mean, you know, a little bit more of the personal touch here.
Yeah, of course. So it's actually going to be a family-run business. We currently have a plumbing family-run business for 35 years, and we have a lease already at this property. It's close to where we're living, so we're able to kind of be involved every day. We see kind of, we are a family of people who want to, entrepreneurs who want to kind of be ahead of the curve, and we see that this was a new opportunity. So we kind of wanted to take charge, and I'm one of four and I'm the girl, so I kind of wanted to be the one to be the minority and do this. So that's kind of why I took the charge on this.
Great.
And
You have yourself.
I think what Ariel's trying to say is her family actually owns the building. They're very familiar with this community board. It's Andrew Pagliazzo. I think you know him well. He had great things to say about you guys. But again, this is not primarily a retail facility. This is primarily a cultivation facility that allows retail sales.
That's very helpful. Okay. I can think of some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, I know you said it's not primarily a retail facility, and that is, like fair, I believe you on that, but it would be good if you can give us any information you can give us about the security plan, either now or, that you can provide us via email, in a later time. I know you might not have like a fully fleshed out, plan, but whatever information you can provide would be, I think, very helpful in helping us feel like comfortable with this application.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've done feasibility testing with security consultants and contractors because this takes a lot more work than just opening up a retail, right? There has to be humidity control, there has to be ventilation, there has to be lighting, there has to be extra electrical. So those feasibility tests are okayed. As far as bringing in a security consultant, you know, there's already been security consultants in that building for quite some time. There's a nightclub there, there's events in the morning. But we've had them come in, but we have not built out test kits yet.
Okay, and one other follow-up question is just what community groups have you contacted? I know that it's a very industrial street, but there are still some.
Yeah, we haven't been in touch with any block associations, but from my prior experience with the other community boards, they came to this initial meeting and then requested meetings. So we're happy to do that, but we've only put up the community notices and followed what this board requires.
Okay. So the previous micro business that we approved, one of our main concerns around cultivating in New York City, Manhattan, was around the fire and fire plans, which obviously is not part of our application because it's primarily geared towards retail space. Can you talk about your plans for fire protection, fire safety when you're, you know, have these heat lamps and you know, a lot of electricity usage in the space? We'd like to know.
I think Ariel mentioned that her family comes from plumbers, so they have quite a bit of experience in this. Just to confirm, and I don't mean to minimize the community board's role, but as far as the cultivation facility, those don't require approval. It's the retail facility. That being said, the building's spaced out for large amounts of people, but there is going to have to be work done, mainly to the electrical and the ventilation.
And as he mentioned, we have a plumbing company, so we do handle plumbing and sprinkler. So right now, the building, we do monthly inspections there already. So we already know that the coverage for what is now is good, but we have the ability to put in the additional plumbing and sprinkler that's needed for this type of space.
And
very helpful.
just to
And
add,
since you-
there's city requirements that we're gonna have to comply with. There's gonna be DOB.
Right, and not to mention, since you own the building, I assume your incentive is to make sure it doesn't burn down, so, that's fine. Dolores.
Thank you for Jesse for mentioning the fire, and Alex, yes, you're correct. The community board's not going to opine on that, but Ariel, thank you for responding because we are your neighbors and you don't want the building to burn down, and certainly no one else wants to be impacted. So I think that that would be something that we would want to know more about, regardless of whether it's required, to understand how, being a good neighbor, that you're putting in place safety measures to protect your business as well as the surrounding community. Additionally, your choice in terms of how you spend your dollars, but it's a very energy consumptive business. It would be nice to know whether or not there's opportunities for greening of your growing, so that that at least we understand that that's more of an interest than obviously a requirement. But just broadly speaking, this is a very different type of operation than we've heard about. But I do think having a outline or a sketch or an idea of what you envision you can do in that space, even if it's not the actual blueprints or the plans, would be very helpful for this community to be comfortable in being able to support what you're trying to do here.
So OCM imposes its own guidelines on how much growing room there can be for a micro business. It's limited to 3,500 square feet indoor, or there could be mixed light up to somewhere around 7,500 square feet. I don't anticipate, or at least I don't think the entrepreneurs anticipate a mixed use. This will be a fairly small grow facility, and it's a mixed space. So as far as energy efficiency, there's new requirements with the city that everybody has to follow that are probably above the expectations of what anybody here wants. They're very rigorous, and those will all be complied with. It's obviously to the entrepreneur's benefit to keep those costs down as well. But absolutely, as you mentioned earlier, that kind of ties in with the fire plan. It ties in with the consumption of that block. And these are all things that as contractors, this family is going to take care of way in advance. But again, not to minimize your inquiry, it's just that this is frankly a mistake by OCM in forcing this type of questioning before the applicants are even in a position to be spending the type of money to answer these questions. So I don't think there's any issue with involving the community board along the way. You asked about if we're inquiring with local board associations, but this is our first step in the process, not our last. As soon as we get the approvals from you and then OCM, it's going to be a long process towards opening, and all those community boards are going to have to be involved, or at least we're going to want them to be involved, because as Ariel mentioned, she's a resident here. Her family's been conducting business in this part of town for decades.
Then as a follow-up, I think that what would be nice to hear is just what you said. This is not the end of the conversation, it's the beginning of the conversation, a commitment to still communicating and working through as you develop this plan with the broader community, whether or not we can opine on certain parts of that plan is a good neighborly opportunity for all of us.
I think that's something we can easily commit to. And frankly, the basis of this type of business, being a micro business, is to be a closer part of the community. This is to be involved with different shops across the state, but think of it more as a brewery, right? That has its central facility where it can market its products on a more limited basis than a regular bar, but then it can also distribute those products throughout the city and other retailers. They're also allowed to purchase from other cultivators and use that product to further their business and then help distribute to other retailers in the city. So this really is, a designed for mom and pop operations, this license.
Great. Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot that there's people on. Sorry, is there anyone from the public here to speak on this? Sorry. That's it, very industrial part of town. All right.
Can we ask, were there any letters in opposition?
We don't have it. No. All right, do we have a motion?
motion to approve, I guess, with the only stipulation being that the applicant agrees to come back to us before like opening retail. I don't know what.
We will inform you as our licensure process progresses, frankly. It's gonna be necessary for us to succeed here, but we will stipulate to that.
And yes, you have my
Although we
word.
have one person. We have one person from the public that just raised their hand.
Sure.
Hi, can you hear me? My microphone was earlier.
We can hear you.
Okay, so my major concern about having cultivation facilities in the city is really the odor. I think it's been shown in other cities, especially within Massachusetts, and I think you can actually see it when you go over into Jersey. That odor is a significant problem, especially if you live in the surrounding areas from the cultivation facility. And so it makes me uncomfortable that we would give approval without understanding exactly the precautions that the facility will take in mitigating odor, which I think will be a bigger issue than fire or electricity or anything else. So from my perspective, I would not feel comfortable giving permission until you actually understand the scope of the cultivation facility, how much and where they plan to grow, and the odor mitigation factors that they have. I can tell you there's an MSO that has a cultivation facility in Massachusetts that the city had almost taken away the license because there were so many residential complaints regarding the odor. So this is a very significant issue, and we shouldn't just let it pass lightly.
Well, I do want the applicant to address it, but again, as he's reminded us several times, we actually don't have any authority to comment on the cultivation. So, but if you, I actually did not think about the odor, and if you guys can respond to it, it would be helpful.
Yeah, and we're happy to. We did speak to the level of growing here. It's gonna be limited to 3,500 square feet, which is very limited. I happen to know the facility you're talking about in Massachusetts. I believe that was over 100,000 square feet facility. So that's a different type of issue you have. As far as the ventilation, there's separate ventilation requirements for retailers and consumption lounges versus cultivators. OCM sets the standard for that. We're going to meet those requirements, and this is a building owner. He's not going to spare an expense as far as having issues with other tenants and neighbors. But as far as the exact schematics of what the ventilation requires, I'd have to get back to you. But when we submit our full plan after provisional approval, that'll all be included. And I don't know if there's a mechanism that OCM provides that to the community board after the fact, but we're happy to share that with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
With an indoor facility, that's a huge part of the humidity control, also controls the odor.
Hey, Jesse, can I make one more comment? Can I just make one more comment? I think if we can actually ask OCM to have some control over odor requirements within the city, either through a zoning mechanism or through CB4 approval of cultivation facilities. Otherwise, this is going to be a big issue going forward.
Yeah, I don't look into it too much. I mean, I imagine, as said, like I'm sure the regulations speak a lot to this already, because I have not myself looked at the cultivator regulation, but yeah, it's something worth looking into. So thanks for bringing it to our attention, Susan. All right, moving back to the motion on the table. Where are we?
The motion to approve with the one stipulation, Canada will come back to us when they have more information on the retail side of things.
Excellent. That is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? All the opposed, Dolores? Opposed, okay. All those present not eligible or abstain? Okay. Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Aria.
Okay, we're back.
We are back one more time, one more try. Our last applicant of the evening, item number 4, 195 9th Avenue West, between West 21st and 22nd Street. Leaf 195 LLC. Let's try again. See that there are a lot of people here for this application. Seeing that there are some people here clearly here for this application, I apologize if this is the one that got bounced to the end. We promised we tried.
I think they like that. It's an operating convenience store.
Do we have the?
They were here before.
Yeah, we're trying to do it.
We were very close.
Do we have the applicant?
Herbert goes on, so.
Well, there should be. Let's give the applicant a few minutes to rejoin. And then we will. Well, let's say the applicant does not.
Going once, going twice.
30 seconds.
I mean, that's the decision, what we want to do with
The decision, I think we would have to vote to deny, because we didn't.
This is what you would do. I mean, my understanding from BLP is that administratively, we just deny it because the applicant.
That no, didn't show, yeah.
I mean, I will say, obviously, they were here.
It's just weird that they haven't figured out how to call in or email. Do we have an email?
Well, let's give the applicant 24 hours or 40 hours to email us to explain. And if they still don't, we can send emails about asking them what.
Well, then we got, I want to be within the notice period. I don't want people.
Jesse? Jesse,
24.
whether they're here or not, if we do have people from the public that did want to speak, that they can be on public record to make a
No,
comment.
That's great. That's a great idea, Dolores. Yeah, so normally, we want to hear from the applicant first, but seeing that there are so many people who have waited so patiently, I'd rather not hear, I don't want to, the 20 applicants, 20 participants, if we could keep comments brief. Or if, you hear someone say the comments that you're gonna make, maybe don't, if you could refrain from sharing your comments, but if you're very eager to speak on this applicant who's not yet here before us, raise your hand and we'll take, that's a great idea, Dolores, thank you.
Jesse, I liked when we got a sense of who's for.
Oh, that's fair, yeah, actually, if you could, yeah.
Well, I'm bringing this on you.
All right, we'll bring Sandra over.
That's better speaking. Maybe she could summarize.
Concerns about this one, this is mine.
Yeah,
So-
well,
Or you just want to have them?
no, go ahead and speak on this now, and then we'll
So,
hear your concerns.
Actually, I had some concerns. That I saw no community outreach from the application, nor as of this morning, there was no sign posting. It is a convenience store. So I had questions about that. Their lease says it was signed on November 5th, however, it's still operating as a convenience store. Actually went and bought gum today through the store.
Just to confirm it was real and not.
Are you selling stuff? But I did have questions about that. So the application, I don't know if you got a chance to see, but missing information about security plans, missing, just about delivery. I wasn't clear if they had cannabis retail experience. It was blank, but I did want to ask, I wanted to also ask if there was overlap between the convenience store and so I would have some questions and concerns.
Okay.
So we don't know if it's gonna be like a conversion.
Right. And we also don't know if they are under the belief that they can do both.
Which I really don't think they can.
Yeah.
So.
There's an empty spot, the store.
Right, that's, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
One part, they've been trying to do something with for a long time, like, processed food or a hot table or something, so there's a vacancy in the store. The other one is, it's like narrow, like a bowling alley.
Really small. Oh, then they wanted to also do delivery, and that is a narrow sidewalk.
Okay.
I would like to hear more about that.
So it seems like we ourselves have a number of concerns that we would be asking the applicant, but if you are Sandra, we've moved you over, if you want to share some of your concerns as well, since you raised your hand and you waited so patiently. Seriously, in all sincerity for everyone who's waited online, we always appreciate it and know that these meetings are long and that you wait a long time to have your voice heard or at least be seen. So it is appreciated. Thank you, Sandra.
Okay, you're right. It is a long night. And people in our neighborhood, I'm president of the 400 West Block Association. And Many of our members have sent in letters and comments already to you guys. Everybody's really concerned about the same things. Truthfully, from most of our points of view, given a choice between this space on 22nd and 9th, which is this like tiny narrow space, which is gonna absolutely impede pedestrian traffic all the time. And, you know, the space on 23rd and 9th, we might have picked that one. In addition, that one at least had somebody who knew what they were doing. The actual application that was submitted that I read showed that the individual had no prior experience, at least in legal cannabis. I don't know about if they're running the place now. I'm not sure what's for sale
Yeah,
there.
that's scary. Yeah.
But that's a different issue, right? But you know, to me, this is like the worst place for that kind of a store for you know, cannabis. Also, if they're connected to the convenience store who's there, they don't take care of their property. They are not good neighbors. I don't think there's anything positive that anybody in the neighborhood could say about them. And people who live on 22nd Street are very concerned because of the pedestrian traffic as well as the regular traffic. Plus there's, which everybody's pointed out, I mean, I've read all the letters pretty much, you know, it's all the same thing. There's the plumbing house in the middle of the block, which has, like every block or, you know, every area has, you know, it's a residence for older adults who have been homeless or have other mental health issues. And this is right on the corner. And these people are not confined to the residence. They're able to, you know, go out into the neighborhood, and here it is right there. Plus you have Clement Moore Park, which is just 1 block away. Couple of schools right in the neighborhood. But even aside from that part, which I know that they probably fit within, or I believe they do, except maybe for the park. I don't know how many feet that is, if it's within.
It's more than 1,000. It's more than 1,000.
Is it more than 1,000?
But
But in any
thank you,
event,
Sandra, for, yeah.
to me, those are just things you should take into consideration,
No,
but I think that
absolutely.
this is a
And it's
very
frustrating,
bad
obviously, we
spot
don't-
for that particular kind of a enterprise. And everybody is that I've spoken to anywhere in the neighborhood is unanimously against it. And you've like not approved the person on the 23rd Street who at least had experience. I get that, you know, people in the community didn't want that kind of business there, but at least that gentleman had experience in, you know, legal cannabis. This person has no experience. Seems to be a very bad choice.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm gonna, so thank you very much. There are obviously a lot of concerns with this applicant. It is unfortunate that we have not heard from them. There's a concern about the applicant and the location, and so combined, Dolores?
Motion to deny, stating that they did not show, as well as to indicate community concerns raised.
Second.
Can we just do a poll? I do like.
Yeah, real quick, just because there are so many people waiting, that's right. Again, if you were here to speak out against this applicant, can you just raise your hand online, please? And since you've been with us for so long, we would like to acknowledge your presence. And maybe some of you have already fallen asleep.
Maybe some people are just observing.
I think
Understandable.
a few people dropped off when we said that they weren't here.
Was there anyone, okay, you can raise you lower your hands, thank you. Was there anyone here to speak in favor of this applicant? Miguel, you're in favor of Miguel? Miguel is. No, Miguel, okay, all right, so no, all right, so we are, I heard that motion, was there a second to that motion?
There's Miguel.
Miguel.
Yes, it goes, that's it.
Miguel,
I heard a second.
He waited this long, right?
Call the question.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. We're gonna listen to Miguel and then we'll,
Miguel, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm totally opposed to it because it's so close to Fulton houses. No one has ever come to us to tell us they're coming here. Pierce 11 is literally up the block. The seminary is up the block. Everything that should be against this is against for this because this community don't need this. One of the biggest issues that we face is from students from the local high schools that literally get high at Fulton houses every single day. The NYPD is making a lot of arrests lately because of that. This is just going to give an opportunity for children to come to Fulton houses to hide from their schools to get high again. So I'm totally opposed to it.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Okay, we had a motion, we had a second. All those in favor of denying this application? Okay, say the scene looks unanimous. So that is the evening. Thank you for everyone who came out to watch, to take part, to share their opinions, all the applicants. Very appreciative. We are all learning together. So thank you so much. Is there a motion
To adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed.